important session ever on WTO, the very critical part, the very integral part of our course, of our subject, special topic on trade, because WTO is the top trade body that has been globally recognized, globally applied, okay, by more than 164 members, economies, okay, including Cambodia that joined in 2004, 13 October 2004, 3 after China accession in 2001, yeah, and 2 years after the Russian accession in 2002, right? So today we're gonna dive deep into the historical evolution of the WTO from the very early inception up until the latest development of the organization. Okay? And you will know how has WTO grown, okay, from one state to another up until now. Okay, from very uh, juvenile, from very, I can say, de facto or de facto. Okay, organization in 1946, 1947 up until 1995, and then 2021 right here. Okay, and let me wait a few more minutes to ensure that everybody on board before we can go together, because we cannot miss anybody here. Since the course today is very interesting. On Wednesday, I taught IE403. Okay, we were very interactive. We were very responsive to the question and answer. So I want to take session to also apply what I have experienced, what I experienced in the Wednesday course. Okay, Wednesday session. Okay, we got more than 25 right now, or 26 right now. Okay. All right, so let's go on board all together right now. Without further ado, I don't want to spend more time on waiting for you to come all together. Okay, so let's go to our slide. Wait, guy, wait. All right, so can everyone right now see the slide? Okay.
Yes, lecturer.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's go with me. Today I'm gonna give you a very long journey back to the past in 1944, 1945, 47, 46, okay, 46, 47, okay, up until 1995, and then up until now. Okay, so you will see how has been it going so far and what has happened in the past, what happened in the past. Okay, you will also see some critical analysis that I will make for you in the first slide that you will see some notion before we start, because normally in my style I always start with a question to revoke your thought, to revoke your perspective, whether you have any idea before we dive into the subject. Okay, that is the integral part of our study today. So yes, the chapter 2 is very important. It is about World Trade Organization. Anybody know where is WTO located? Anybody can share? Anybody know where is WTO located?
I think it is Geneva
It is
in Switzerland.
Yeah, so when you know it, do not say I think, okay? Teacher, it is in Geneva, based in Geneva, Switzerland, all right? So, okay, WTO is based in Geneva. Previously, Cambodia, when Cambodia joined WTO in 2004 on 13 October, the representative of Cambodia to represent the country in the WTO was the ambassador of Cambodia to the United Nations and the ambassador of Cambodia to Geneva, Switzerland. Okay, but right now, up until 2015, the government of Cambodia decided to create what we call a new permanent representative from Cambodia that was recruited from the Ministry of Commerce of Cambodia to represent Cambodia at WTO. So right now we got two different entities. First one is Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is represented by the ambassador of Cambodia to represent in Geneva, Switzerland, to represent Cambodia to Switzerland, and to represent Cambodia to United Nations and other international organizations based in Geneva. Because the United Nations, we got two important bodies. First one is in Geneva, and the second one is the UN headquarters in New York, the US. Okay, so most of the organizations that are involved in Geneva are related to international trade, international economy, or international human rights. While those based on the US are about security. Okay, for example, UNIC is based in the New York, US. Okay, so right now we got separate person to work on trade. Previously, we only depended on the ambassador of Cambodia posted in Geneva, Switzerland, to represent Cambodia at the United Nations and also at the WTO. But right now, we have a separate entity. We have a separate person, which is from the Ministry of Commerce as the permanent representative with the rank equivalent as ambassador, okay? But not royal ambassador. We call it ambassador. Ambassador mean accredited, while royal ambassador mean accredited. Okay, be careful, do not be confused, all right? Okay, here are some notions. Okay, as I said before I kick off my lecture, I always start with a thought-provoking question, okay, in order to promote your engagement. As you know, the WTO is only created in 1995. If we compare with the ICJ that was established in 1945, if we compare with the World Bank or IMF that were established in 1944 in the Bretton Woods system in the hemisphere city of the US, WTO is the youngest, all right? The WTO is the youngest because in the 1990s it was created, while the other organizations, just like the prominent IMF or World Bank or ICJ, United Nations, were existing 50 years earlier, right? I mean, in 1945 or something, or 44 or something, okay? So they said that WTO is the youngest IGO, but the most influential organization among the other, compared to IMF, compared to World Bank, compared to United Nations or ICJ, WTO is the most influential. Why? Anybody can answer why the WTO has been the most influential? Anybody can try? All right, because right now everybody engage more in business other than politics. It means that when everybody focus on trade interaction, economic development, trade negotiation, trade promotion, international trade flow, conflict happen, dispute happen. And there are more than 300 cases submitted under WTO appellate body right now, while at the ICJ we got only around 20 cases. Since 1945 up until now, the case that were submitted to the ICJ of the United Nations were only around 20 number. But at the WTO, just 1995 up until now, we got more than 600 cases submitted to the dispute settlement body of this organization. So you can see it's the youngest, but it has many issues to involve. Okay, Minister right now focus on the discussion or debate on WTO rather than United Nations. Nobody care much about international politics. that much compared with the international economic development, because everybody is right now looking to the promotion of international trade, promotion of international investment. Okay, the World War II already taught human that, already taught leader that focusing on international competition in terms of politics would be finally counterproductive, because finally we would be the loser because of the war, because of the warfare, fighting, conflict, dispute, okay, territorial violation, for example, which finally only resulted in the devastation, okay, caused by the war. So the leader changed the new concept after the post World War II era in the 1945 afterward. They decided to focus more on economic development. Okay, economic development. That is why right now WTO has been the most influential, even though it's the youngest. Okay, even though it's the youngest, it is the most influential organization. Okay, organization, and everybody is right now competing at the course of WTO, okay, not at the corner of the ICJ or IMF or World Bank. Okay, that is why that is my thought to question number one. Okay, you got a point, guys? Should be clear enough for you? Hmm? All right.
Yes, teacher. Yes.
Okay. What about the rest? Are you fine with that? Try to follow up with my speedy speaking, because I want you to be familiar with that. I want to save time and then be able to go into the point, not just and then we got nothing. Okay. Are you with me right now, guys? Come on.
Yes,
Yes, like. Okay. Very good.
Yes, like.
Okay. Very good. To civil society, okay, to civil society, they believe that the World Trade Organization is very secretive, is very conspiratorial, conspiratorial, okay, and unaccountable. They believe that the WTO is only the forum for few leaders to engage in secret affair. For example, they want to do something to create the trade element into negotiation that will only finally put the pressure on the poor state, on the small state. So it's very secretive agenda that were made by the coined by the superpower leaders. Okay, so they believe that civil society believe that the WTO was only the agenda made by the rich in order to impose, you know, strict obligation on the poor, and then finally destroy the environmental standard. For example, they believe that when international trade is created, more flights, more transportation, more land for investment, more land for production will be needed, and then deforestation will for sure happen. Okay. And also they believe that it is conspiratorial, meaning that it is only the conspiracy among the top leader and unaccountable, meaning that the WTO did not provide any compensation for the environmental degradation, for the labor right violation, for the human right violation. They had no any responsibility. They had no any remuneration or compensations for this kind of cause. Okay, so that is the perspective by the civil society, and I think you know quite well about what civil society back in your year 3. You already studied civil society, as I remember when I was in my generation as you right now. We studied civil society. We first teach to the organization that were not aligned with the government and also not aligned with the personal interests. So they represent the interests of the marginalized people or the people that were left behind the social development framework or agenda, right? So that is what we call civil society. And they believe that the organization, I mean, the WTO here is the rich man club, meaning that, as I said earlier, it is only dominated most by the rich nation. For example, the US, okay, China, Great Britain, okay, even the new economy, for example, like Japan, okay, they are right now advancing their stake, okay, at WTO talk about Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Laos, Nepal, all the other small nations who were wound up as the what we call client state. Okay, client state cannot advance their talk, cannot get a voice heard by the WTO at the WTO. That is why they believe that the WTO is the club of the rich men. Okay, the club of the men. For example, in Cambodia we got so many clubs, but the clubs that are very highly premium are only for the elite people. For example, let's say Zhang let's say, I don't know where it is, but I used to hear that it is only available for the rich people, elite people, let's say that. So the WTO is quite the same. Okay. A software and hardware sufficient enough? Anybody know the word software and hardware? If we talk about the software, very refers to the legal instrument, the agreement, okay, something that are abstract, something that provide legal obligation for the member, okay, and also hardware, which refers to the infrastructure, okay, whether they are sufficient or not. So let me give you the answer. So far, not yet, okay. Well, right now still needing more reform on creating new law and also making some adjustments, some amendment to the old agreement that seems to only serve the interest of the rich people, rich country, while left the poor country marginalized or left behind the global development agenda at the WTO. That is why right now we need more reform, and there are many more debates, especially the debate on what we call agricultural negotiation. Because right now, since 2001, after the Doha round was launched, the World Trade Organization got stuck. Okay, right now, you will know what does it mean by the word round of negotiation. But I want to tell you that from 2001 up until now, more than 20 years, the last round of the WTO, what we call the Doha round, got stuck, not yet moved, because many new issues were added, and then those issues were very sensitive and then could not be solved overnight. Okay, and especially agricultural negotiation had been on the bar of negotiation, but nothing moving forward. So we're right now waiting to see whether there will be more development, positive progress, okay, on the negotiation on agricultural product or not. Okay, and they also question whether the WTO provide a very good level playing field or not. Level playing field means the field that is playable by all power, whether you are small, whether you are rich, whether you are poor, whether you are big or whatever. We don't care your size, but whether this kind of organization give you the equitable floor to play, to enjoy, to advance your interest or not. Okay, but in many research, they found that previously the WTO was not giving enough level playing field to the member, because only the rich, as I said, back to question number 3, it was only the club for the rich people, the rich man, the rich nation, the rich state, okay, not for the poor, okay. But right now, after many reform and after 1979, following the adoption of what we call enabling clause, I'm gonna tell you in the next session. Enabling clause is the clause that provide the preferential treatment, preferential arrangement for developing countries, developing members of the organization, okay, of this organization. So right now they found that the level playing field well under the WTO has been increased, okay, to provide more inclusive, more engaged participation from the developing members, okay, not only for the rich man anymore. All right, inclusive, is the WTO inclusive right now? Still, because the poor farmer, for example, the Cambodian poor farmer are not yet considered, are not yet, heard. Okay, their interests are not yet heard at the WTO. The environmental activists, the human rights advocate, the labor union, trade union, for example, they still found that they are left behind. They are not included into the WTO negotiation. Okay, and right now we got so many advocate activists that try to lobby the government before they go to negotiate at the WTO. They want to lobby, they want the government to include this interest, the represent the interest, okay, to the talk at the WTO, okay, at the WTO. Otherwise, they will still be left out. So the WTO will not be inclusive in whatever manner it will be, okay. So again, it is not yet inclusive. And flaw or flawless? Indeed, nothing is flawless in this world, trust me. Nothing is perfect, okay? But it is only the degree of flaw, whether it is too much flaw or it is very little flaw. But WTO, right now, it is very much flaw, okay? Because many issues have not yet been solved. And the unilateral play between the US and China in the trade war recently demonstrated that WTO is right now less functional. And also the diversion of members from depending on the WTO alone to depending on bilateral or multilateral ITA, free trade agreement, or the answer that the WTO is right now less relevant, less functional. Are you with me, guys? Fine? Got it?
Teacher, can you modify question number 6 again? Better.
Inclusive. Inclusive in Khmer, anybody know what it does it mean by the word inclusive in Khmer? Inclusive mean everybody is included. For example, Cambodia must promote what we call sustainable and inclusive development. កម្ពុជាគួរតែលើកតម្កើងការអភិវឌ្ឍប្រកបដោយចីរភាពនិងបរិយាបន្ន Inclusive means បរិយាបន្ន It means that everybody must be included into the agenda of development of the WTO. But right now they found that WTO failed to include the trade union, okay, labor union, environmental advocate or activists, human rights activists, okay, labor, farmer at the grassroots level. Their voice are not heard. The WTO only take into account the interests of the rich people, the business people who do trade. For example, Mr. He has so many business across Cambodia. So when the WTO negotiate for any liberalization or any FTA, only the rich businessmen people can actually enjoy the benefit from the preference provided under FTA. What about the poor farmer? Let's say that. Okay, are the poor farmer benefiting from the FTA? Of course, they benefit, but there will be the tycoon. There will be the rich people becoming the intermediary, the third person to buy the product of the poor farmer at a low price and then sell to the other member under the tariff preference provided by the FTA. So who will be the true recipient of the benefit from FTA? Of course, the rich people, because the poor farmer are still selling the product at low price to the intermediary, the business people, the tycoon in Cambodia, who are working as the third person, third party, okay, to sell a product from Cambodia, from the farmer to the foreign partner under FTA. But who is the rich people? Who is the one that get most benefit? Not the farmer, not the user, not the poor people. Okay. The poor people just a little, let's say we grow the rye, okay? We grow the rye, but the rye product will be bought by the intermediary people or business people at low price from the farmer, and then they sell to the foreign country under FTA without tariff, without quota, without UT, let's say that, and then they can actually enjoy a lot. But who is the true benefit theory of this FTA? Not the poor people. You got a point? All right.
Yes, teacher. Yes, I got it.
Yeah. What about the rest? Are you fine with that? Come on.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I want to ensure that everybody understand. I know I speak too fast. I want to move, but I want you to be familiar with this, and then we will be able to adapt to the fast learning style. Okay, do not just stay in very slow and then and sometimes you stay so slow and then got nothing. Okay, I want to be fast and then we got something in detail, dive deep into the point. Okay. I will try my best to explain in a very detailed fashion or manner for you guys. Don't worry. Okay. And if you have any question, feel free to interrupt me, to intervene me at any time you wish to. Do not feel, oh, I'm so afraid to interrupt teacher while speaking. No, don't think so. Be very friendly with me. All right. I want engagement from you guys. Consider me as the instructor, not a teacher. Okay. So that you can feel ease, you can feel convenient. Okay. To give your idea, to share your perspective, to interrupt me at any time you wish to. Okay. Go with me to second slide. Okay. Anybody used to hear the word Bretton Woods? I'm sure that you used to hear, especially in IPE course, International Political Economic course in year 3. You studied that, right? Anybody can tell me whether you used to hear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay,
Yes, lecturer.
okay, come on. Yes. You want to say something, or you want to confirm? You want to confirm that you used to hear, right? Anybody just said something a moment ago? You want to clarify something? Come on. No? Can I move on right now?
Yes, sir. I think he just want to confirm that he
knows
okay. Bretton Woods, sir.
Okay. In 1926 or something, a president in the U.S., he's the president candidate when the U.S. was about to hold the election. A man who was the candidate of the U.S. Presidency convinced the poor people that if you vote for me, I would limit the import of agricultural product from our trade partner, and then no more import will come to compete with your product. Because in early 1920s, okay, after the end of World War One, because World War One was from 1944 to 1948. Okay, so in 1920s, most of the, majority of American population were farmers. Okay, so when the U.S. want to win the election, when the U.S. president or president candidate wish to win the election, they would try to convince the poor farmer in order to support them by providing any pledge, any promise, seeking that they will promote American farmer livelihood, okay, living standard. Okay, but this man, I forgot his name, but he convinced that if you supported me in the upcoming election, I will promote your agricultural product by removing the import, okay, by limiting the import from our trade partner. And indeed, he was voted. He was elected as the president of the U.S. And then he, of course, translated his promise by imposing the barrier, the tariff on the border for the import from Australia, from Canada and Peru. Okay. So what happened? That time we had no international law, we had no international organization, ITO, we had no GATT. Okay. So what happened? Australia, Canada, and Mexico also did the same thing, what we call retaliation. Okay. By imposing the same barrier, again, American import into the country. So no international law to govern their relation, to govern their trade activities. So they all started retaliatory measure. Okay. So what happened in 1929 and then to 1932, something, the flows of international trade in the world, I can say in the world, because that time this superpower were the dominant player of the world trade. So the global trade, I can say that, was in the slow motion, or was in the very, what we call, was inactive. It was not moving forward because the US imposed tariff measure. Okay, Canada, Australia, Mexico also imposed tariff measure, or even Peru, close border with the US, also imposed the measure in the US. So this retaliation between superpower here caused the world trade not to move forward. And then in 1933, we got what we call the Great Depression. Anybody used to hear that word?
Yes, sir. Here 4 years already, sir.
All right, very good. Okay. You know what happened in 2021? Yesterday, I read a report by the Harvard University. They found that in the 1933, we got the Great Depression, and then in the 2021 here, we got a new depression, what we call, a new Great, what we call the Great Resignation, meaning that many millions of population across the world resign from the work due to COVID. Okay, so we call it a new Great Resignation. A new version of Great Depression in the 1933, and then right now 2021. All right. So with this experience, okay, with the experience from the Great Depression, okay, because Great Depression was the result from World War One, okay, and then everybody became poor, and then the politicians exploit. Politicians, especially American politicians, exploit from the poverty of American farmer, and then promise with that, and then impose unilateral measure on the import from Australia, from Canada, from Peru, and Mexico. So when the World War II was about to finish, was about to end in 1944 or 1945, the world leader learned or tried to duplicate or copy the experience learned from the Great Depression and the World War I experience in 1918 and 1933. So before the end of World War II in 1945, the world leader in 1944 gather in hemisphere Bretton Woods of the US. What did they do? I forgot the name of the American leader, but maybe wait. No. Truman was only notorious for the war, but this one, Winston Churchill was Britain. Franklin Roosevelt, okay. Franklin Roosevelt of the US, the Winston Churchill of Great Britain, and many more from France, from even Russia, okay, also joined the cohort. They, what we call, not Russia, Russia that time did not join, okay. So the winner from World War, the perspective, the about to be the winner of the World War II, met each other in 1944, and then formulate what we call the Bretton Woods system by creating what we call International Monetary Fund, IMF, in order to promote the regulatory framework for the financial arrangement of the world, because they found that the world gonna be needing a new regulatory structure to capture the reform in financial sector. Okay, so they created what we call International Monetary Fund. Second one is the International Bank for Infrastructure Development, but later on it was named as the World Bank. Okay, as the World Bank. Okay, first it was called the International Bank for Infrastructure Development, but later on it was retitled as the World Bank. So in 1944, they created two important platforms, two important organizations to facilitate the economic activity across the world after the end of World War II. Okay. So they know that the World War II would end by 1945, because the U.S. planned already to demolish Japan by the bombing of small boy on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. Okay, so they created these two organizations, but the question happened whether this organization could really promote international trade or not. So the leader failed to include the importance of international trade in this agenda. So in 1945, after the end of World War II, they decided to try to find a new initiative, a new platform that would encourage the promotion of international trade, because even though we got the financial arrangement supported by IMF, even though we got the investment provided by the Investment Guarantee Fund of the World Bank, we still need to have another organization to promote or to manage the affairs of international trade, because trade is the locomotive, is the very important engine of growth for the investment and financial arrangement. If you have investment but you have no international trade, what is the benefit of investment? Okay, if you just invest and then let your local people use, not to export to the foreign market, what is the benefit of investment, right? So we need international trade body. Anybody what happened? Anybody know what happened? In the 1946, okay, the U.S. lead this initiative by proposing what we call the Draft Havana Charter for the International Trade Organization. Yeah. So in 1946, the U.S. was the one that proposed the creation of the International Trade Organization under the what we call Draft Havana Charter that was made in Cuba. Havana is the city in Cuba, right? The U.S. proposed it, but in order to apply ITO, in order to put ITO into function, we need agreement. Just like United Nations was the body, was the organization, but the agreement of United Nations is United Nations Charter. ASEAN is the organization, but the agreement of ASEAN to make ASEAN in operation is the ASEAN Charter. Okay, so we have organization, but we need to have agreement to put the organization in function. Ministry of Commerce is the organization, is the government body, but the law on the arrangement and the creation of Ministry of Commerce, we call sub-degree, is the regulation that put the Ministry of Commerce into function. So the body must be supported by any regulatory framework or law or agreement. You got a point, guys? Clear? Okay?
Yes, sir.
What about the rest? Are you fine? Come on.
Yes, like
Yes, teacher. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Go with me. Okay. It's a story. I try to make my best in order to explain you from the very early time of the Great Depression up until now, 1944. We get a Bretton Woods system. Okay. Okay. So ITO was subject to be the international trade organization that govern international trade. It was launched. It was proposed by the U.S. But while ITO was still in the proposal, the leader created GATT, General Agreement on Tariff and Trade. Anybody used to hear that, right? Family with that?
Yes, teacher, we heard of it.
Okay. Yeah. So they drafted GATT alongside ITO. Okay. Just like we created United Nations, so we also need to draft the United Nations Charter along the way. Then when United Nations came into force, the agreement came into force, so they will be supplementary to make the WTO, to make the United Nations in operation, in function. The same apply here. They created ITO, not created they proposed ITO, it was still in the process of making it into function. But at the same time, the leader drafted GET alongside the Havana Charter, creating ITO. But okay, GET ITO was not put into operation. I mean, finally, ITO was not created because in 1947-48, the U.S. Congress changed the new administration, and the new administration decided to, I mean, the Congress, okay, did not give the approval of ratification of ITO. And when the Congress of the U.S., or we can say laterally as the U.S., when the U.S. did not provide the ratification or approval for the creation, for the operations of ITO, ITO did not come into place ever since. And the rest of the world, the rest of the leader, the rest of the countries did not, okay, go opposing the U.S. It means that they supported the U.S. Just okay, let it be. Don't care about ITO anymore, right? So ITO was not in operation even one. Okay, it was proposed by the U.S., but it was finally discarded. Okay, discarded or rescinded. Okay, or abstracted by the U.S. not to put it into operation. Even those ITO did not work. Okay. Even those ITO did not work, did not come into operation, GET was still applied. Anybody know the reason why GET was applied even those ITO was not yet existing? It's very irrational that the agreement was applied first before the organization came into place, because normally we need organization to come first and then agreement came later, right? Just like United Nations, we created first and then United Nations Charter came later on. ASEAN we created first in 1967, and then the ASEAN Charter just came in 2007, 2008. So agreement always came afterward. But here, ITO not yet came into place, came into being, came into existence. But the leader needed the agreement GET for the tariff concession negotiation, because only GET could provide the platform, the guideline for the leader to negotiate tariff concession. Because that time tariff was on the high bar, everybody could not remove, because they had no framework to remove the tariff from the border. So the need GET urgently in order to be applied, in order to be the guideline for the leader who were the members of GET to remove tariff barrier, to remove tariff barrier. And also the US. The US was the one that opposed the adoption of ITO, but it was also the country that support the application of GET, even those without ITO. Why? Because the US, okay, the US rely, okay, its negotiation guideline on the US Act. And the US Act was created long ago and then would expire in 1948. So if it wait for ITO to exist in order to apply GET, the US would not be able to negotiate, because its act that was the guideline for its negotiation in GET would expire in 1948. បាទន័យថាបើគាត់អត់ប្រើប្រាស់បើគាត់អត់បង្ខំឲ្យ GET ឲ្យអនុវត្ត GET ដើម្បីសម្រាប់ការចរចាទេគាត់អត់អាចប្រើប្រាស់ GET ទៀតទេពីព្រោះគាត់ដើម្បីប្រើប្រាស់ GET បានគាត់ត្រូវប្រើប្រាស់ US Act របស់គាត់ហើយ US Act របស់គាត់ហ្នឹងនឹង expire ឆ្នាំ1948ហើយ ITO ហ្នឹងគឺបើយើងចាំតើ ITO ចូលយុទ្ធមាន 48 49 អញ្ចឹងអា Act របស់គាត់នេះវា expire អត់មានជាមូលដ្ឋានដើម្បីយកការចរចាទេទៅធ្វើការចរចាអញ្ចឹងបានគាត់បង្ខំឲ្យ GET អនុវត្តតាំងពីឆ្នាំ1947មុន ITO ចូលយុទ្ធមានតែ ITO អត់ចូលយុទ្ធមានទេបរាជ័យចាំបានអត់ចាប់បានទេយើងអូខេ Got a point?
Yes, lecturer.
Okay, what about the rest? Are you fine? I try to elaborate in a very detailed fashion, okay, and speak loudly. I want you to understand, not just go with me, but understand and then go. Fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, since ITO did not come into being, come into existence after the congressional veto, I can say veto or blocked by the US, GET became the what we call de facto organization. De facto organization means not the organization, but we had no choice besides considering it as the organization, because we had no ITO anymore. In other words, we call it the some scholar even call get asti what we call defective baby code the loot dương vôពាក្យ code the loot លក្ខណៈ defective factors គេកូនក្មេងរលូតបើន័យថាម្ដាយមិនទាន់មានម្ដាយផងម្ដាយមិនទាន់ជាបានជាម្ដាយពេញលក្ខណៈផងកូននឹងចេញមកមុនបាត់អនុវត្តម្ដាយស្លាប់ទៅបាត់អត់ទោះអានេះនិយាយភាសាសាមញ្ញហ្នឹង scholar គេនិយាយចឹងមិនថាវាដូចជាកូនរលូតចឹងពីព្រោះអត់មានបានឪពុកម្ដាយជា ITO នោះមិនទាន់បានកើតចូលយុទ្ធមានច្បាស់លាស់ផងហើយវានឹងកើតចន្លោះពី ITO គឺកំពុងតែបង្កើតតែចូលយុទ្ធមានមុនបានពីព្រោះអត់ជំរឿសដោយសារតែត្រូវការជា guideline សម្រាប់ការចរចាទូទាំងសកលលោកប៉ុណ្ណឹងមិនទាន់សកលលោកទេថា23ប្រទេសទេប៉ុន្តែគាត់ថាពេលហ្នឹងគឺ23ប្រទេសហ្នឹងជាប្រទេសដែលចាំបាច់ក្នុងការចរចាពាណិជ្ជកម្មពីព្រោះ23ប្រទេសហ្នឹងជាប្រទេសដែល dominate international trade កម្ពុជាយើងមិនដឹងនៅណាទេឆ្នាំ40ជាងហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងហើយបានគេត្រូវការខ្លាំងមែនទែនអូខេចាប់បាននោះគ្នាយើងអញ្ចឹងពីឆ្នាំនៅឆ្នាំ1947នៅពេលដែល GATT ចូលយុទ្ធមានគឺមានប្រទេសចំនួន23ជា contracting party របស់ GATT okay you got a point
Sure.
okay
I
yes.
cannot catch up when you explain the US why US
Okay.
support the GATT while it
US
proposed
okay.
ITO. Yes.
Yeah. US proposed ITO and then dissolved ITO, right? Did not support ITO. You got a point, right? That
Yes,
point.
yes.
Yeah. But US supported GATT to be applied urgently in 1947 because US rely on its act to negotiate. Without the US act, the US had no guideline. US act mean you act in the US mean law, okay? Act នៅអាមេរិកគឺគេហៅ law act ហ្នឹងមិនសកម្មភាពទេអញ្ចឹង US rely on the US act ហ្នឹងដើម្បីទៅចរចាពីព្រោះ US act ដូចជា mandate ដូចជាឯកសារសំខាន់ដើម្បីអាមេរិកយកទៅចរចានៅក្នុង GATT អញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាយើងនៅចាំឲ្យ GATT ហ្នឹង apply នៅពេលដែល ITO ចូលយុទ្ធមានទាំង ITO គាត់អាមេរិកគាត់ដឹងតែគាត់នឹង oppose គាត់នឹងប្រឆាំងហើយអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលដែលឆ្នាំ48អា US Act គាត់នេះវាដល់ deadline ត្រូវ expire អញ្ចឹងចង់អូខេយ៉ាងហោចណាស់ក៏ចរចាបានមួយឆ្នាំដែរក្នុង GATT ហ្នឹង rely on US Act ហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងបានបង្ខំឲ្យ GATT ចូលយុទ្ធមានឆ្នាំ47ពីព្រោះបើមិនអញ្ចឹងទេគាត់គ្មានអាណត្តិក្នុងការចរចាទេដោយសារតែ US Act របស់គាត់គឺ expire ឆ្នាំ48ហើយបើគាត់ចាំឲ្យតើ ITO បង្កើតដើម្បីចរចាក្នុង GATT អញ្ចឹងគាត់មានមូលដ្ឋានណាចរចាបើ US Act របស់គាត់ដើម្បីទៅចរចាក្នុង GATT វាផុតការបោះឆាត់ឆ្នាំ48ហ្នឹងអូខេចឹងរៀងញ៉ៃប៉ុន្តែស្ដាប់ឲ្យយល់ធម្មតាទៅចរចានរណាក៏ដោយគឺត្រូវការមាន guideline ត្រូវការមានច្បាប់ដើម្បីចរចារដ្ឋាភិបាលយើងដើម្បីមានឥឡូវខ្ញុំនិយាយភាសាសាមញ្ញមួយចុះគឺរឿង dispute settlement ក្នុងអាស៊ាននេះសម្ដេចនាយករដ្ឋមន្ត្រីឲ្យអាណត្តិតាំងឆ្នាំ2009អាណត្តិហ្នឹងគឺនឹងចប់ឆ្នាំ2022គេថា full power បើយើងដែលឮថា full power full power ហ្នឹងគឺនាយករដ្ឋមន្ត្រីឲ្យអំណាចទៅរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីមួយដើម្បីចរចាជំនួសឲ្យកម្ពុជាលើ FTA អញ្ចឹងទេក្នុង ASEAN Enhanced Dispute Settlement Mechanism Protocol ឆ្នាំ2000ប្រហែលនេះឥឡូវ2022នេះគេអាប់ដេតសារថ្មី2021អាប់ដេតសារថ្មីហើយស្រាប់តែយើងអត់បានធ្វើអីអញ្ចឹងបានយើងបន្ទាន់យើងធ្វើបន្ទាន់ឥឡូវកំពុងធ្វើបន្ទាន់ហើយយើងទទួលបានអាណត្តិហើយបើសិនជាយើងអត់ធ្វើបន្ទាន់ទេអាណត្តិហ្នឹងផុត2022អាណត្តិfull power ដែលរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីយុរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីឲ្យគឺផុតអាណត្តិយើងមានអីទៅចរចាមានអីជាមូលដ្ឋានចរចាទៅសុំយុរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីសារថ្មីមិនងាយណាសុំយុរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីគេនឹងសួរថាអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំឲ្យមកប្រហែលអាណត្តិមុននោះមិនយកទៅប្រើប្រាស់ចាំកាលហ្នឹងជាសំណួរដែលយើងត្រូវ US ដូចគ្នាអញ្ចឹងអា US Act មានស្រាប់ហ្នឹងមិនប្រើចាំយកថ្មីទៅអីហើយបើយើងចាំថ្មីបើយើងចាំឲ្យ ITO ចូលយុទ្ធមានដើម្បីអនុវត្ត GATT អញ្ចឹងអា US Act ដែលអាមេរិកនឹងប្រើប្រាស់ហ្នឹងគឺអត់បានប្រើដោយពីព្រោះនេះផុតកំណត់ឆ្នាំ48ហ្នឹង Okay you got a point all right អីហើយ
អត់សូវយល់US Act ហ្នឹងគឺជាអីដែល special មួយដែល the world gave to the US at that time ឬក៏មិនចឹង
No US Act ហ្នឹងមិនមែនរបស់ the world ទេ US Act ហ្នឹងគឺជាច្បាប់មួយដែលតម្រូវដែលឲ្យ guideline ទៅអាមេរិកក្នុងការចរចាហើយបើសិនជាអាមេរិកអត់មាន US Act ហ្នឹងទេមានប៉ុន្តែគេត្រូវធ្វើសារថ្មីអញ្ចឹងអាចាស់មានស្រាប់ហ្នឹងហើយអាចាស់គឺផុតកំណត់ ឆ្នាំ48អាចារ្យនឹងជា guideline US Act ហ្នឹងគឺជាច្បាប់ដែលអនុញ្ញាតឲ្យអាមេរិកមានសិទ្ធិក្នុងការចរចាកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងពាណិជ្ជកម្មសេរីឧទាហរណ៍កិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងជាមួយប្រទេសផ្សេងអញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាអាមេរិកអត់យកអា US Act មកប្រើទេអញ្ចឹងដល់ពេល US Act ហ្នឹងចូលជាធម៌មានឆ្នាំ48មិនចូលជាធម៌មាន US Act ហ្នឹងផុតសុពលភាពឆ្នាំ48ហើយបានអាមេរិកទៅចរចានៅក្នុង GATT ឆ្នាំ48ក្រោយមកអញ្ចឹងមានន័យថាអាមេរិកមានមូលដ្ឋានអាចរចាបើ US Act ដែលជាមូលដ្ឋានសម្រាប់អាមេរិកចរចាផុតការកំណត់ហ្នឹងត្រូវតែធ្វើ US Act សារថ្មីណាអញ្ចឹងបាន US គាត់បង្ខំអូខេ GATT អនុវត្តក្នុងឆ្នាំ47ល្មងទៅដើម្បីខ្ញុំមានមូលដ្ឋានរបស់ខ្ញុំដើម្បីចរចាពីព្រោះច្បាប់ខ្ញុំមានស្រាប់ហើយខ្ញុំអត់ចង់ឲ្យបើក្រចរចាក្រុម GATT ពេកវាទៅជាខ្ញុំត្រូវបង្កើត US Act សារថ្មីនៅពេលដែលវាផុតការកំណត់ឆ្នាំ48អញ្ចឹងមួយឆ្នាំគាត់ rush ដើម្បីឲ្យមានអាណត្តិពី US Act ហ្នឹងដើម្បីគាត់អាចចរចាក្រុម GATT អញ្ចឹងបង្ខំឲ្យ GATT ត្រូវតែចូលជាធម៌មានមុនច្បាប់គាត់អស់កាលបោះឆែកអូខេ
Yes sir yes
អាហ្នឹងបានថាគាត់ត្រូវការអាហ្នឹងដើម្បីចរចាប៉ុន្តែអាហ្នឹងវាផុតឆ្នាំ48ហើយបើសិនជាចាំទម្រាំឲ្យ GATT ទម្រាំ ITO កើតហើយ ITO គាត់បាន approve រួចហើយបើចាំទម្រាំ ITO ចូលធម៌មានដើម្បីចរចា GATT ដល់ពេលចរចា GATT ស្រាប់តែឥឡូវថា ITO ចរចាឆ្នាំបង្កើតឆ្នាំ49 GATT ឆ្នាំ50អញ្ចឹងគាត់មានមូលដ្ឋានបើទៅចរចាបើ US Act គាត់ expire ឆ្នាំ48ហ្នឹងត្រូវបង្កើតសារថ្មីហើយបង្កើតច្បាប់មួយមិនងាយទេបាទគឺត្រូវឆ្លង2-3ឆ្នាំ5ឆ្នាំក៏មានដែរឆ្លងសភា lower house Supreme House Congress ឯណាហ្នឹងមានច្រើនខ្ញុំអត់សូវយល់ប្រព័ន្ធអាមេរិកទេយើងក៏ស្វែងយល់អានយល់ប៉ុន្តែញញ៉ាយមិនងាយមួយថ្ងៃធ្វើបានមួយខែធ្វើបានខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់អញ្ចឹងហើយចង់អញ្ចឹងគាត់ត្រូវតែផុត get ហ្នឹងឲ្យ apply ឲ្យបានលឿនមុន US Act ដែលជាមូលដ្ឋានសម្រាប់គាត់ចរចានេះចូលផុតការបោះឆែកឆ្នាំ48អូខេហើយដោយសារតែអត់មាន ITO ហ្នឹងហើយទើប get គាត់ទៅជា agreement ក៏ប៉ុន្តែវាត្រូវ agreement support ឲ្យ ITO ប៉ុន្តែ ITO ស្លាប់បាត់ចឹង get ហ្នឹងសល់តែជា provisional agreement ខ្ញុំបានបង្ហាញ slide ឲ្យគ្នាយើងហើយគឺការពិសោធន៍មុនគឺខ្ញុំបង្ហាញ get agreement ឲ្យមើលខ្ញុំបានដាក់កន្លែង provisional agreement គឺបានន័យថា get ត្រូវបានអនុវត្តជាបណ្ដោះអាសន្នរហូតដល់មានអង្គការថ្មីអូខេអង្គការថ្មីហ្នឹងអង្គការស្អីយើងស្គាល់ទេ WTO អូខេចឹង ITO វាកាត់មុន WTO អូខេ you got a point
Yes sir yes
okay very good okay so from 1947 to 1994, the last day of GATT, we got 8 rounds of negotiation. 8 rounds of negotiation mean one round might consume 5 years, some round might consume 7 years. Okay, because one round would be the negotiation between leaders on certain item. For example, in the first 5 rounds, okay, from 1947 to 1946. The rounds of negotiation focus on the reduction of tariff barrier. I mean, the removal or reduction of the barrier along the border for the import product. Okay. So from 1947 to 1994, they could remove over 40% of tariff barrier to less than 4% of tariff barrier. Okay. So រយៈពេលត្រឹមឆ្នាំ47ដល់ឆ្នាំ94គឺរយៈពេល 8 round of negotiation ជុំនៃការចរចា8ដងហ្នឹងគឺគេបាន remove ពី tariff ដែលមានតម្លៃខ្ពស់ជាង 40% នៃតម្លៃទំនិញមកត្រឹមតូចជាង 4% នៃតម្លៃទំនិញសម្រាប់ tariff អញ្ចឹងបានន័យថាចរចាធ្លាក់ខ្លាំងមែនទែនត្រឹមតែប្រហែលយើងគិតមើលមិនថានេះដូចជាចូលដល់ជិត50ឆ្នាំហើយហ្នឹងតាំង47ដល់94ជិត50ឆ្នាំគឺយើងចរចាធ្លាក់ពីតម្លៃ tariff តម្លៃពន្ធធំជាង 40% មកសល់ត្រឹមក្រោម 4%អញ្ចឹងមកទល់ថ្ងៃគឺយើងទៅមើលក្នុងកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀង MFN ក្នុងកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀង WTO ទៅគឺ MFN rate គឺអត់អាចលើ 4% ទេអាចលើ 4% ទេត្រូវប៉ុណ្ណឹង Okay, so for the first 5 rounds in 1947 to 1961, they only focus on the reduction of tariff. But from the 6th round onward, okay, from 1961 up until the present day, the round focus on the reduction of non-tariff barrier. Okay. ចឹង tariff barrier គឺជា barrier ដែលជាពន្ធ non-tariff barrier គឺជា barrier ដែរប៉ុន្តែមិនមែនជាពន្ធមិនអត់ពន្ធទេណាពន្ធវាអត់ដែរប៉ុន្តែវាមាន barrier ផ្សេងទៀត we call it non-tariff barrier. You got a point? Okay. ធ្លាប់ឮទេពាក្យ non-tariff barrier? Okay.
Yes, sure.
Okay. Yeah. My question is that between the reduction on tariff barrier and the reduction of non-tariff barrier, which one is easier and more successful for negotiation? Anybody can tell me?
I think tariff is more successful, sir.
Why?
Because when you reduce the tariff, but you limit the non-tariff, so you can still protect your own economy.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Any other reason behind this? Okay, very good answer, but not yet the best one. Let me add, because tariff is only about a number. All right. For example, if right now the tariff is 30%, we can just talk to remove to 15% or 20% lower than that. It's just the number that we can just see on the tariff schedule concession of the video, and then we can talk. Okay. Hi, brother. Hi, South Korea. I'm Cambodia delegate. I would like to remove this certain tariff from from 50% to only 5%. Can you provide that concession for me? That is fine. Okay, very easy. Just see the number of tariff line, the level of tariff, and then ask for the removal or reduction. So we got a number over there. Just remove the number of tariff, the level of tariff. Okay, and then we will create a legal document that include the decided new level of tariff. For example, previously the right export to Korea would need to pay more than 50% of import tax into Korea, import tariff into Korea. But right now, after the negotiation between Cambodia and Korea, we export to Korea, pay the tax only 2%. Okay. For example, if the price of our rice per kilogram is 100 US dollar, we need to pay only 2 US dollar per kilogram of import tax into South Korea market. Okay. So very easy. We got a number there and then ask for reduction and removal. That is fine. But non-tariff barrier is very complicated. It is not about a number. It is about technical standard. It is about SPS, sanitary and phytosanitary measure. It is about what we call rule of origin within the down domain. It is about licensing procedure. It's about technical regulation. Okay, it's about some of the stuff that are not numerical. That are not statistic based. That are abstract. That are very regulatory. That are very complicated to understand. And we have no number to label them. Okay, we cannot say the level of technical standard must be 7. What is 7? 7 of what? 7 of what? What do you mean by 7 technical standard? So we have nothing to give the standard level. Okay, we cannot. Yeah, even though we have a machine to limit the standard level, we still cannot find it accurate or reliable. Unlike tariff is only the level of tariff calculated with the import volume. We can find the tariff to be removed, for example. But here, something about regulation, about a measure, about law, about licensing procedure that are put in place. How can we label it, and how can we find it easy to negotiate? It's very hard. That is why tariff measure is easier for negotiation than non-tariff measure. Are you with me? Got a point? Okay. All right, guy. You got a point?
Yes.
Yes,
Very
yes,
good.
lecturer.
Yeah, yes. Why I try to explain in a very detailed fashion like this, because when I was a student like you, I couldn't even know what does it mean by the word tariff measure, non-tariff measure. I thought non-tariff mean not tariff. No, non-tariff mean non-tariff measure. I mean the measure that are in place but not related to tariff. So be careful. Okay. Because last week I asked student between non-tariff and tariff, which one is more this sentence between tariff and non-tariff reduction, which one is more successful? And some students said non-tariff reduction because we have no tariff. No, yeah, and indeed we have no tariff, but it is the measure that does not include tariff but include other technical standard. Okay, that's why I want to make you clear, to make you remember from now on that when we talk about non-tariff measure, we refers to the measure that are not about tariff but that are about standard, that are about regulation, that are far more complicated than the tariff itself, because the tariff is about a number over there. We just assign and then agreed, and then we publish the number on the statistic and document. And then if you want to know how much that you need to pay for the tariff of import into a certain country, just see the number. That's fine. It's easy. If you want to remove or to reduce the tariff, just talk with the trade partner, the country partner. And then you can remove. But non-tariff measures are in place, and then we have no number to label it. We have nothing to quantify it. It is about something abstract, but cause restriction on international trade. Got a point? Right? Can I move now? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, one slide I can zoom more than 15 minutes, but it's very worthwhile because I can make sure that you understand. Not just study and then study, no. Because when you graduate, you might apply for the examination at ERA, at the examination at Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Economy and Finance, even the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs. When you know the exact, very clear and detailed information, not confusing like before, you will be able to secure success in your examination, trust me. And in case that you take exam into my ministry, and then when you pass the first round of writing, when you move to second round of interview, you will be interviewed by the leader who are expert in international trade. They will ask you this kind of question. Can you tell me the origin of WTO? Talk to them the way that I explained to you. Okay, for example, it was happening in the 1994 after the Bretton Woods, and then we tried to create a new organization to focus on international trade development promotion. So we create IMF World Bank in 1944, and then second one in 1946 we proposed ITO, but did not happen, and then we only applied provisionally the GATT up until 1994, and then 1995 we got World Trade Organization, for example. So you can pass. Okay, you can pass. So wait, guy, I got somebody knocking my door. All right, guys. So can you hear me now? My brother just knocked my door. He came outside. Okay. Can you hear me now? Right now?
Yes. we
Okay.
can.
Okay. Move on to another slide. Okay. I'm sure that you are clear right now. Okay. Wait. Okay. Uruguay round. Okay. So Uruguay round is the last round of GATT. Okay. So be clear, Uruguay round is the last round of GATT. Why was it called Uruguay? Because that round was conducted in Uruguay. We also got Kennedy round. We also got Doha round. Okay, Tokyo round. Okay, what else? Okay, we got so many rounds based on the name of the city that the round was conducted. Where the round was conducted. Okay, so Uruguay round was the round that was conducted in Uruguay in 1986 up until 1994, and it was called the last round of GATT negotiation. Why? Because it is the round that created WTO. Okay, and it also the very first round that included Swiss trade. Previously, before 1986, before the Uruguay round, leader only talk about the reduction of tariff on good trade in good. All right. Right now, they included service trade for the first time, meaning that included. Oh my God. Yes, they included service for the first time, and then it was also the year that the WTO was established, and it was also the year that many economies joined the negotiation. Okay, previously we got only 23 economy joined the GATT in 1947. But right now we got so many more economies joining the trend. Even Cambodia later on joined in 2004, China 2001, Russia 2002. Many more countries also joined, okay, following the board altogether. Then in 1995, it was the first time that the WTO was established. So we had no more get around, okay. But we had right now WTO round, okay, because GATT is no longer, GATT round no longer exists because right now it was replaced by WTO. But GATT is still there, but the round for GATT is not existing, okay. So the next round we call WTO round, okay, but it continued from the GATT round, but the GATT round no longer exists, okay. So who proposed the word WTO, and what was the reaction by the US? Okay. Canada and Japan, okay, proposed the term multilateral trade negotiation. Yeah. Wait, this one. It was Canada and Japan who proposed the name of the what World Trade Organization. Okay. Wait, let me. I got confused because we got two. Canada and Japan. Okay. I don't want to remember what I missed to be clear. So let's say that let us just know the fact that it was proposed by the US, by Japan, and also Canada. Okay, but at first when the Japan and Canada proposed the name, I forgot whether World Trade Organization was proposed by the US or MTO was proposed by Canada or Japan. But I just remember that when Japan and when Japan and Australia proposed for the first time, the US did not support because the US wanted the name to be proposed by the US itself, since it was the one that advanced in negotiation. It was the one that leads in the beginning, so it did not want to follow the name provided by Japan and by Canada. Okay, but finally, still the US supported that name. Okay, I got a point now. The US supported the word multilateral trade organization. Okay, while Japan and Canada supported the word World Trade Organization. The US did not want to support that word provided by Canada and Japan because the US supported the word is right to say the word World Trade Organization, but the US did not want the word to be dominated by Japan and Canada because in the future they will say that this word organization, this word WTO was proposed by Canada or Japan, not the US. But finally, even though the US did not want to have this kind of future perspective, the US still finally accepted that word, World Trade Organization, because it is the best word ever. We cannot find any other best word beyond this WTO. The word multilateral organization seems to be very limited in scope because when we talk about multilateral, it can be only more than 3 or 4. It is not including all the other countries in the world. So when we put the word World Trade Organization, it refers to the larger scope that the other member can also join. Okay, not only the rich country, not only the few multilateral partner, but all the other country, the rest of the world can actually join this organization. So finally, they came to the conclusion of choosing the word World Trade Organization as the name of this organization. Okay, even though ITO no longer exists. Okay, and then what was the agreement that created the WTO? It was the Marrakesh Agreement in 1995. Okay. Marrakesh Agreement was the agreement that in ITO we got GATT. Okay. We got GATT, but ITO did not exist. So what happened? We apply GATT provisionally, as I showed you last week. So right now, when we got the WTO, so right now when we got WTO, we created a new agreement that put the WTO into function. It was called Marrakesh Agreement in 1995. It was made in Morocco. Marrakesh means the city of Morocco, okay? And it put the WTO into function from the 1st January 1995 up until now, okay? So the WTO was proposed by US, Canada, and Japan. Even though there was some controversy, finally they got to conclude this word as the name organization. And then the agreement that put the WTO into function was the Marrakesh Agreement that was made in Morocco, Marrakesh City in 1995, putting the organization into full operation from 1st January 1995. Okay. So let's go to see the Marrakesh Agreement with me right now. Okay. want to show the Marrakesh Agreement with you guys. Thái này riêng hot anh chúng sống tốt vậy tới áp sư smooth được sao tới tăng việc prep cho room training hay share là hold share riêng economic diplomacy tăng prep nhưng hay okay lấy từ mưa từng ốc đi Marrakesh Agreement. Okay, can you see right now?
Yes.
Okay, Marrakesh Agreement establishing the World Trade Organization. Okay, we didn't put the word Marrakesh, but the agreement is in nature. We call Marrakesh Agreement. So if we go to Article 1, establishment of the organization, the World Trade Organization herein referred to as the WTO is hereby established. Okay, so the word herein after mean តទៅនេះហៅថា okay អញ្ចឹងអង្គការពាណិជ្ជកម្មពិភពលោកតទៅនេះហៅថា herein after refer to us ហ្នឹងគឺប្រែមកថាតទៅនេះហៅថា the WTO is hereby established ពាក្យ hereby ហ្នឹងគឺ not simple when we talk about the word hereby it means is established according to this agreement អញ្ចឹងពាក្យ hereby ហ្នឹងគឺបានន័យថា according to this agreement អញ្ចឹងមិនមែនពាក្យប្រើមួយគឺអត់ន័យណាពាក្យច្បាប់គឺមួយគឺជាកន្លែងស្លាប់រស់អូខេហើយពាក្យក្នុងច្បាប់គឺពាក្យសគឺប្រែមកថាត្រូវតែនៅក្នុងភាសាអង់គ្លេស The WTO shall provide common institutional framework for the conduct of trade relations among its members in matters related to agreement associated legal instrument អញ្ចឹងបានន័យថាអង្គការនេះត្រូវតែគេមិនគួរតែត្រូវតែគេហើយមិនបានសួរថាតើ get ទៅណាបាត់ get ទៅណាបាត់ហើយនៅក្នុង WTO នឹង get គេមានភ្ជាប់ហើយណា so we go to see the attachment under this organization this agreement គេមិនបង្កើត Marrakesh Agreement បង្កើត WTO ហើយគេបោះបង់ get ទេ get អនុវត្តក្នុងឆ្នាំ47ដែលចរចាលទ្ធផលនៃការចរចាសម្រាប់រងថ្ងៃនេះគឺបានមកពី get ទេជាក់ស្ដែងនោះអញ្ចឹងគេអាចចោល get បានទេអញ្ចឹងគេដាក់ get ណាលើទៅមើលget គឺនៅក្នុងនេះគឺអានិច1នេះក្នុងអានិចនេះគឺជាកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងដែលនៅក្នុងដែលអនុវត្តនៅក្នុងអង្គការពាណិជ្ជកម្មពិភពលោកហើយក្នុងអានិច 1A នេះគឺគេហៅថា Multilateral Agreement on Trade in Goods ហើយក្នុងនោះវាមាន General Agreement on Tariff and Trade អូខេហើយក្នុង General Agreement on Tariff and Trade ឆ្នាំ94នេះវាមានតែឆ្នាំ47ក្នុងហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងទោះបីជាគេដាក់ដូរឈ្មោះទៅជា94មិនថាគេ change version វាពីឆ្នាំ47មកដល់ឆ្នាំ94មិនមែនប្រកាសថា47អស់អាណត្តិទេលើជួយធម៌មានទេអា get ឆ្នាំ47នៅតែអនុវត្តទល់រាល់ថ្ងៃហើយគេបញ្ចូលវាទៅក្នុង1994បញ្ចូល get ឆ្នាំ47ចូលទៅក្នុង get 1994ហើយអា get 1994ហ្នឹងគឺបញ្ចូលទៅក្នុង Marrakesh Agreement អញ្ចឹងមានន័យថាទាំង get 47ទាំង get 94ទាំង Marrakesh Agreement គឺ support the function of the WTO you got a point okay អញ្ចឹងកុំច្រឡំណាអ្នកខ្លះគាត់សួរថាលោកគ្រូអា get ឆ្នាំ47អា get ឆ្នាំ94ហ្នឹងខុសគ្នាមិនបានត្រូវពីមិនបាននៅពេលដែលគេនិយាយថាកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងនេះត្រូវចរចាឲ្យផ្អែកលើមាត្រា24នៃ get 47អា47ហ្នឹងត្រូវអនុវត្តឲ្យទៀតក្រែងគេប្រកាស WTO ឆ្នាំ94មកមាន Marrakesh អីគេលុបបោះបង់អស់ទៅហើយក្រែងចប់ Uruguay round ឆ្នាំ95ហ្នឹង94ហ្នឹងអស់ទៅហើយមិនបានត្រូវយក get 47មកទៀត get 47ត្រូវបានគេបញ្ចូលក្នុង get 94ហើយ get 94ត្រូវបានគេបញ្ចូលក្នុង Marrakesh Agreement នេះដែលយើងកំពុងមើលនេះអញ្ចឹងមិនថាវាទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងគឺតែមួយទេ okay got a point okay all right ចឹងកុំច្រឡំណាពីទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងអត់ខុសគ្នាទេឥឡូវយើងមើល get 94យើងដើម្បីដឹងថាតើ get 94វាបញ្ចូល get 47អត់នេះយើងមើលពួកយើងឃើញ get 94នៅវាអី
Yes, chat.
see it right okay wait okay ឃើញ get 94នៅឃើញ get 94នៅ
Yes.
okay ហើយ get 94គេដាក់មិញThe agreement on tariff and trade 1994 shall consist of the provision of general agreement on trade and tariff and trade ឆ្នាំ47អញ្ចឹងអា47វាដាក់នៅក្នុង94ណាបើ94វាមាន provision បន្ថែមទៀតដោយសារអា47ហ្នឹងវា outdated ច្រើនអញ្ចឹងគេបន្ថែម provision មួយចំនួនប៉ុន្តែអា47នៅតែប្រើអញ្ចឹងប៉ុន្តែច្បាប់គេចែងថាបើសិនជាagreement ថ្មីវាបន្ថែមទៅលើ47ហើយមានវិវាទណាមួយពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងបញ្ហាហ្នឹងគឺគេដោះស្រាយដោយផ្អែកទៅលើអ្វីដែលមានក្នុងអាថ្មីអាណាដែលថ្មីមានគេអនុវត្តតាមម្ចាស់ អាណាដែលចាស់មានអនុវត្តថ្មីវា complement ឲ្យគ្នាអញ្ចឹងអា sample រួចមិនដាក់នៅក្នុងកៅ4ហើយអាកៅ4ហ្នឹងគឺនៅក្នុង market agreement នេះអញ្ចឹងវាបន្តទៅគ្នាទេវាមិនមែនគេបោះចោលទេណាសូមបញ្ជាក់ហើយរាល់ថ្ងៃនេះគេនៅតែបន្តអនុវត្ត get ចរចាកម្ពុជាកូរ៉េចរចាកម្ពុជាចិនក៏ផ្អែកទៅលើមាត្រា24នៃ get ឆ្នាំ sample ឬក៏គេហៅថា get 94ក៏បាន get sample ពីរហ្នឹងតែមួយទេដោយសារតែពីរហ្នឹងគឺវាដាក់ចូលក្នុងគ្នារួចទៅកំបាញយកគ្នារួចទៅហើយដូចខ្ញុំបង្ហាញក្នុង get sample get 94នេះគឺ get 94វាបញ្ចូល get sample រួចហើយចាប់ឲ្យបានដោយសារតែខ្ញុំធ្លាប់ច្រឡំខ្ញុំធ្លាប់អត់ចេះខ្ញុំធ្លាប់នៅឆ្ងល់រហូតឥឡូវខ្ញុំចង់បញ្យល់ឲ្យច្បាស់ថាពីរនឹងដូចគ្នាទេណាកុំច្រឡំថាវាខុសគ្នាពីព្រោះវាដាក់តគ្នារុញចូលគ្នារហូតអញ្ចឹងអត់មានផុតអត់មានបណ្ណាគេបានអាចាស់បានថ្មីចោលអាចាស់ទេមិនមែនបង្កើតបាន market agreement ចោលឲ្យ get 94ចោល get sample អត់ទេ get sample រុញដាក់94ចូលមកក្នុង market បង្កើត WTO got a point okay all right
Sure, in get 94, is there any new feature? Sure?
Yes, we got new feature here. Here, the first feature we refers to the old agreement in 1947, but you can see para B here. Okay, the provision of the legal instruments set below have entered into force under the 1947 ហ្នឹងគឺត្រូវបានបញ្ចូលមកក្នុងកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀង WTO នេះអញ្ចឹងយើងមើលវាមាន protocol certification ហ្នឹងទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងគឺត្រូវបានបើថាអ្វីដែលអត់ទាន់ច្បាស់ឧទាហរណ៍ឥឡូវដូចមាត្រានេះមាត្រា14នៅក្នុង GATT នេះគឺគេមាន decision មាន waiver ថ្មីមួយទៀតបានថាអាពីមុនវាមានចេះឥឡូវគេមាន decision on waiver សារថ្មីបន្ថែមមួយទៀតគេមានស្អីគេទៀត ada decision on the contract party to GATT គេមានស្អីគេមាន understanding to the provision អញ្ចឹងទៅ understanding អញ្ចឹងអាថ្មីហ្នឹងគឺបន្ថែមទៅលើអ្វីដែល GATT ឆ្នាំ sample វាអត់ទាន់មានបានថាគេយក sample ដាក់ក្នុង provision para មួយហើយអាក្រមអាក្នុង para B នេះគឺជាអត្ថបទថ្មីដែល support ឬក៏ complement ឲ្យអា get ឆ្នាំ7 sample បានថាអា get ឆ្នាំ sample ខ្វះអីអានេះវាជួយបំពេញបន្ថែមហើយទាំងអស់គ្នានឹងគឺជា part នៃ WTO Marrakesh Agreement okay got a point
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
អូខេអញ្ចឹងចាប់ឲ្យបានខ្ញុំសូមអំបតែម្ដងដោយសារតែខ្ញុំមិនដែលអំបសោះប៉ុន្តែខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យគ្នាយើងចាប់ឲ្យបានហើយនៅពេលដែលនឹកឃើញ get ឆ្នាំ sample នៅពេលដែលពីណាសួរប្រាប់គេទៅហើយចាំទាំងមេត្រាបងទៅថាវាមិនខុសទេមេត្រា1មេត្រា3បានចែងច្បាស់មេត្រា3នៃ Marrakesh មេត្រាប្រមាណនៃ get 94គឺនិយាយឲ្យថាទាំងអស់គ្នានឹងតែមួយគ្នាទេគាត់ថាវាយោងឲ្យគ្នាតទៅមកអា get sample អត់មានយោងពីណាទេវានៅតែឯងវាកាត់មុនគេប៉ុន្តែឆ្នាំ94មកយោងអា sample នឹងចូលដល់ពេលអា Marrakesh Agreement ឆ្នាំ95កាត់មកយោងអាពីរនឹងចូលទៀតយោងអា sample 94ចូលទៀតអញ្ចឹង get វាខ្លាយទៅជារបស់តែមួយហើយគាត់ថាអាមួយថ្មីមួយចាស់ហើយអនុវត្តដូចគ្នាតែជាទូទៅក្នុង Vienna Convention on Law of the Treaty នៅពេលដែលមានចំនួនណាមួយកើតនៅក្នុងកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងពីរដែលកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងមួយជាកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងចាស់ហើយកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងមួយទៀតជាកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងថ្មីដែលអនុវត្តបន្ថែមដែលបង្កើតបន្ថែមដើម្បី update លើចាស់គេអនុវត្តតាមថ្មីគេអត់អនុវត្តតាមចាស់ទេអានេះគឺជាគោលការណ៍ច្បាប់អន្តរជាតិអាថ្មីទោះបីជាអត់អាចាស់នារីក៏ប៉ុន្តែអាថ្មីត្រូវតែអនុវត្តអាចាស់ទុកដដែលប៉ុន្តែបើសិនអាថ្មីអត់មានចែងពីបទបញ្ញត្តិទៅចំនួនទេអនុវត្តតាមអាចាស់អានេះជាគោលការណ៍ច្បាប់ពាណិជ្ជកម្មមិនច្បាប់ពាណិជ្ជកម្មច្បាប់អន្តរជាតិប្រទេសណាក៏ដូចប្រទេសណាហើយបើចង់ឲ្យអាចាស់លែងចូលជាធម៌មានលែងមានទាំងអស់អ្វីដែលអាចាស់មាននោះគឺលុបចោលអស់ច្បាប់នេះច្បាប់ណាបញ្ញត្តិណាដែលផ្ទុយច្បាប់ដទៃឬក៏បញ្ញត្តិណាដែលផ្ទុយនឹងច្បាប់ថ្មីនេះត្រូវចាត់ទុកជានារីកយើងដែរឃើញច្បាប់យើងចែងចឹងអត់ពីណាដែលឃើញច្បាប់ស្រុកខ្មែរចែងចឹងអត់គឺឥឡូវយើងមើលតការតែងតាំងបទបញ្ញត្តិដែលផ្ទុយនឹងសេចក្តីសម្រេចថ្មីនេះត្រូវចាត់ទុកជានារីកតែចាប់អារម្មណ៍ពាក្យហ្នឹងអត់អត់ឃើញទេជុំខ្ញុំអត់មានរបស់ខ្ញុំជុំនេះថាស្រុកខ្មែរច្បាប់គេដាក់ឲ្យច្បាស់គេថាច្បាប់ណាដែលចាស់គេចង់ឲ្យវាអនុវត្តដដែលពីព្រោះច្បាប់ថ្មីបង្កើតមកអាច្បាប់ចាស់ត្រូវទុកជានារីកអញ្ចឹងអាច្បាប់ចាស់លែងខ្វល់តែជាគោលការណ៍ជាតិតែកាលណាមានការបញ្ជាក់អញ្ចឹងគឺអាច្បាប់ចាស់ឲ្យថ្មីគឺអនុវត្តដូចគ្នាគ្រាន់តែថាបើរឿងថ្មីបប៉ះមកចាំអាច្បាប់ថ្មីអនុវត្តថ្មីបប៉ះចាំអាច្បាប់ថ្មីប៉ុន្តែច្បាប់ថ្មីមានអនុវត្តច្បាប់ចាស់ដែលវាពាក់ព័ន្ធណាអាហ្នឹងជាគោលការណ៍ទៅក្នុងច្បាប់អន្តរជាតិ ในខ្មែរយើងគឺយើងមានលក្ខណៈលើកលែងគឺយើងបើសិនជាយើងចង់អាចាស់បាត់តែម្ដងប្រើអាថ្មីនេះគឺវិសោធនកម្មថែមទាំងអស់ហើយយកអាចាស់មករួចហើយអញ្ចឹងអាចាស់លុបចោលតែម្ដងទៅទុកឯកសារអាចាស់ចោលយកថ្មីវិវត្តថ្មីធ្វើវិសោធនកម្មហើយមានអីថ្មីបន្ថែមហើយអាហ្នឹងខ្ញុំចង់បញ្ជាក់អញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំគិតថាខ្ញុំបញ្យល់ឡើងអស់ហើយឡើងហត់ហើយប៉ុន្តែធ្វើយ៉ាងណាឲ្យគ្នាយើងច្បាស់កុំឲ្យនៅសពេចសពិលចេះក៏មិនចេះមិនចេះក៏មិនចេះវានៅ blue នៅ gray នៅមិនដឹងថាសនឹងខ្មៅវានៅយ៉ាងខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យថាបើអត់ចេះបើចេះត្រូវតែច្បាស់កុំឲ្យនៅ space pearl okay got the point guys are you with me right now okay can I move on to the other slide
Yes, sir.
okay សង្ឃឹមតែចាំបាននេះក៏ okay so what are the objectives of WTO anybody can tell me I think the answer is here the Madagascar agreement explain okay the objective of this organization in its preamble clause already right we call preambulatory clause we call preamble clause ហើយយើងធ្លាប់រៀនអាស៊ាន summit យើងធ្លាប់រៀន United Nation model United Nation ហើយគឺនៅក្នុង agreement វាតែងតែមានពីរគឺទី1គេហៅថា preamble clause ដែលនិយាយពីទូទៅទេដូចជា acknowledging citing recalling considering ចាំអត់គ្នាយើងចាំអត់ alright ចាំទៅអត់នេះឯងអត់ភ្លេចទេ
Yes, lecturer.
yeah ហើយដល់ពេលក្រោមអាហ្នឹងគេហៅថាអីជា operative clause ដែលសំខាន់ clause ដែល operate ជា substance ជា procedural នៅក្នុងកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងនៅក្នុង resolution ហ្នឹងតែឥឡូវគេថាអត់សូវចាំបាច់ទេពីព្រោះវាជា preamble ទេវាជាអ្វីដែល recalling acknowledging ទេហ្នឹងគោលការណ៍ច្បាប់ប៉ុន្តែ WTO ខុសពីគេគេពិតអង្គការ WTO គឺខុសពីគេច្រើនណាពី ICJ យើងបើវងចោតតិច ICJ PCA ICJ គឺ International Court of Justice PCA គឺ Permanent Court of Arbitration ភាគីមួយអាចឡើងទៅតុលាការលុះត្រាតែភាគីមួយទៀតឯកភាពទៅពីព្រោះគេឲ្យតម្លៃទៅលើអធិបតេយ្យភាពអញ្ចឹងបើភាគីវៀតណាមដឹងចិនទៅ PCA ឆ្នាំ2013នោះរឿង Section C Paracel និង Spratly នោះបើចិនមិនទៅគឺវៀតណាមគ្មានសិទ្ធិក្នុងការទៅ join hearing ដោយ PCA ទេហើយស្រាប់តែហ្នឹងខ្ញុំអានព័ត៌មានហើយខ្ញុំយកមកបរៀនសិស្សទៀតហើយមិនតែនេះគឺក្រសួងការបរទេសយើងក៏សើចអស់សំណើចដែរវៀតណាមគាត់ទទួលបានសេចក្តីសម្រេចពី PCA ថាចិនពិតជារំលោភហើយឲ្យអាតំបន់ Paracel Spratly ហ្នឹងទៅទឹកដីវៀតណាមវិញឲ្យទៅជារបស់វៀតណាមវិញដល់ពេលចិនថាខ្ញុំមិនដឹងទេបងខ្ញុំអត់មានបានឯកភាពតែខ្ញុំទៅ PCA ផងវៀតណាមទៅតែឯងដែរហើយខ្ញុំក៏បញ្យល់សម្រាប់ខ្ញុំផ្ទាល់ក៏បញ្យល់មិនបានវៀតណាមឈួតអញ្ចឹងទៅតែឯងដែរតែអត់ជំរឿសវៀតណាមថាវាតតាំងមួយចិនលែងរួចហើយអញ្ចឹងមកខំឲ្យ PCA ហ្នឹងចេញសេចក្តីសម្រេចមួយគេហៅថា default judgment ណាសាលក្រុងកំបាំងមុខមិនដឹងភ្លេចគិតថាក្នុង international law ជាពិសេស ICJ ភាគឬក៏ PCA ICJ PCA ហ្នឹងគឺសេចក្តីសម្រេចអាចកាត់បាន hearing អាចធ្វើទៅបានសវនាការអាចធ្វើទៅបានលុះត្រាតែភាគីទាំងពីរដឹកដៃគ្នាមកកម្ពុជាអាចទៅដោះស្រាយប្រសាទវិភាគជាមួយថៃបានលុះត្រាតែថៃឯកភាពបើថៃមិនទៅយើងទៅដោះស្រាយមានយើងចេញ verdict ណាបានថ្កោលទោសថៃឲ្យថៃដកកងទ័ពពីព្រះវិហារយើងបានខំចរចាជាមួយថៃដំបូងយើងចរចាក្នុងក្របខ័ណ្ឌអាស៊ានថៃចង់ដោះស្រាយក្នុងក្របខ័ណ្ឌទ្វីបេគីដែលយើងប្រើអាស៊ានគឺអាស៊ានអត់ជួយយើងទេដោយសារតែអាស៊ានកាលហ្នឹងគឺពីណាគេយើងដឹងហើយពីណាគេឈ្នះអាស៊ានពីហ្នឹងមានដឹងអត់ពីណាគេជា Director General របស់អាស៊ានពីណាគេចាំអត់ការកម្ពុជាឆ្លងមួយថៃឆ្នាំ2012 2011
Indonesia, teacher.
ឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ីគឺលោក Martina Dalegawa អតីតរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីការបរទេសរបស់ឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ីហើយគាត់មានប្រពន្ធជនជាតិថៃទៀតអញ្ចឹងគាត់ថាអាស៊ានអាចដោះស្រាយបានទេរុញទៅ ICJ ទៅហើយដោយសារតែជាប់មាត់អញ្ចឹងបានថៃយល់ព្រមអូខេឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ីវាអត់អាចជួយកម្ពុជាបានទេអញ្ចឹងប៉ុន្តែបើជួយថៃទាំងថៃបំពេញពីព្រោះយើងឃើញបាញ់ប្រសាទព្រះវិហារបាញ់អីហើយទាំងឆ្នាំ62គឺ ICJ មាន verdict ហើយតែយើងឈ្នះទាំងឆ្នាំ62អញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាថៃមានការរំលោភបំពានហើយឥណ្ឌូនេស៊ីអាស៊ានដឹកនាំអាស៊ានទៅកាន់ជើងថៃទៀតវាទៅជាខុសទាំងអស់គ្នាហើយអាស៊ាននឹងជាស្អីវិញបាត់ហើយអាក្រក់ក្រីអញ្ចឹងហើយគាត់ថាអូខេឥឡូវកុំដោះស្រាយនៅនឹងទៅដោះស្រាយនៅ ICJ ចុះអូខេអញ្ចឹងដោយសារតែជាប់អញ្ចឹងហើយបានថៃ ទៅ ICJ ជាមួយយើងណាពីព្រោះអាស៊ានអត់ដោះស្រាយទេប៉ុន្តែថៃចង់ bilateral ត្រូវចាំតែកាលណាប្រទេសធំនិងប្រទេសតូចឆ្លោះគ្នាអាធំតែចង់ bilateral ហើយសូម្បីតែចិនឬ South China Sea ក៏ចង់ bilateral អត់ចង់ឲ្យមានគេហៅថា internationalization of the dispute ទេអញ្ចឹងបានយើងយកទៅ ICJ អញ្ចឹងមានន័យថាត្រូវការភាគីទាំងពីរទៅប៉ុន្តែ WTO គឺខុសគេមិនខុសគេត្រង់ថានៅពេលដែលភាគីណាមួយស្នើសុំឲ្យមាន request for consultation នៅពេលមានចំនួនវាទាន់ដល់ការប្រឹងប្រដៅទេគឺភាគី WTO ម្នាក់ភាគីមួយនៃ WTO គឺស្នើទៅ WTO បង្កើតគេហៅថា consultation stage consultation បើសិនជាកម្ពុជាឥឡូវកម្ពុជាចង់ប្តឹងថៃកម្ពុជាដំណាក់កាលដំបូងគឺ consultation stage នៅពេលដែលកម្ពុជា submit request for consultation ភាគីថៃត្រូវតែទៅចាំគ្មានខ្ញុំមានអធិបតេយ្យភាពខ្ញុំមិនអាចទៅបានទេអត់ទេក្នុង WTO ខុសពី ICJ ខុសពីអង្គការដែលតាក់ទងទៅនឹងសន្តិសុខតាក់ទងទៅនឹងបូនអភិបាលដីអង្គការពាណិជ្ជកម្មនេះគឺបើសិនជាមានបណ្ដឹងស្នើទោះបីក្នុងដំណាក់កាល panel appellate body ឬក៏ consultation stage ភាគីមួយទៀតត្រូវតែទៅ automatic ប្រចាំអានេះដែរ preamble នៅក្នុងកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងផ្សេងទៀតគឺអត់សូវមានអត្ថន័យទេវាគ្រាន់តែជា citing reference អីទេប៉ុន្តែក្នុង WTO គឺ preamble មាន legal effect មានអត្ថប្រយោជន៍យុត្តមានគេថាមានគតិយុត្តមានផ្លូវច្បាប់តិចឃើញ citing acknowledging recalling អត់មានទិដ្ឋភាពផ្លូវច្បាប់មែនទេ WTO គឺខុសពីគេគឺ preamble ក៏មាន legal effect ដែរយើងសូមបញ្ជាក់ឥឡូវយើងអានអស់គ្នា In the preamble of Marrakesh Agreement, the objective of the WTO is to increase the standard of living of people, to attain full employment, to promote the growth of real income and demand, and to also expand the production and trade in goods and services. These are all what we call economic objective. However, these organizations also stress on the non-economic objective. For example, sustainable development. It doesn't mean that when you do trade, you don't care about environment, you don't care about the environmental degradation, for example, air pollution, land pollution, deforestation. No, you also need to preserve the environment. You also need to preserve the social protection, social guarantee promotion, let's say that. So sustainable development is also stressed in preamble. You might say that it is not legally effective, legally valid for the preamble, but the WTO preamble clause is also legally valid. Okay, and is here the question? Okay, is the preamble of legal significance? Yeah, of course. The WTO did not say that its preamble is legally significant. The WTO law does not say, but the WTO law is the law that based on the what we call common law, the law that is based on the precedent. Precedent means យុត្តិសាស្ត្រ យុត្តិសាស្ត្រមិនយុត្តិសាស្ត្រ យុត្តិសាស្ត្រ mean based on the previous judgment. So the present judgment, if stating the same or similar cases nature, must refer to the old judgment, okay, for the present decision judgment. Okay. So they said that right now we don't have any law, we don't have any article of the WTO Marrakesh Agreement to say that the preamble points are of legal significance. Of course, we don't have any legal provision, but we have the precedent, we have the previous judgment by the appellate body of the WTO, which state that the appellate body report in the US Stream case in 1998 said that the language in the preamble to the WTO agreement demonstrate a recognition of negotiator that optimal use of resources should be made in accordance with the objective of sustainable development. To the time, the US committed the stream. I don't know, but it was the time that the US export the stream, but the way that the US cultivate or grow or I can say use stream, okay, destroy the environment, destroy the sustainable development of the people, the American people. So they filed complaint against the US. Then the US said that the environment that was mentioned in the preamble clause of Marrakesh Agreement should not have any legal effect or legal significance that the other country could use to file a complaint against the US. But the appellate body report, the judge in that case said that the language in the preamble is also legally effective because it demonstrates the recognition of the negotiator that the environmental or sustainable development shall be acknowledged, or the optimal use of the world resource should be made in accordance with sustainable development. So this one case get the door for the recognitions of the importance of the preamble clause of Marrakesh Agreement. You got a point? Okay. Okay, chắc ba nó.ខ្មែរបងលេបងឲ្យតែយល់ Okay guys. Fine. Let's go to see the Marrakesh Agreement with me. Go to see the preamble clause, all right? I want to show you right now. Wait. Here. Okay, so right now you see Marrakesh Agreement. All right, you got here?
Yes.
Okay, so you know, as you studied ASEAN Model Summit, yeah, United Nations model United Nations, all right, you got to know that the preamble clause will always have the italic letter for the first time, for the first sentence, for the first paragraph. Okay, you understand that? You remember that, right, guys? Here?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, sure.
always recognizing, being desirous, result, determine, recalling, citing, or something. So it's about something acknowledgement, nothing of legal significance for the other agreement. But in the WTO, as the case law, the U.S. 1998 case explained, the word in the preamble clause here also has legal significance, because it means that the negotiator who drafted this agreement also recognize the sustainable development. The word sustainable development. Okay, let's go to see with me. Here's the word in the preamble. Recognizing that their relation in the field of trade and economic endeavors should be conducted with a view to raising standard of living, ensuring full employment, and a large and steadily growing volume of real income and effective demand, and expanding production of and trade in goods and services, while allowing for the optimal use of the world resource in accordance with the objective of sustainable development. Okay, sustainable development, seeking both to protect and preserve the environment. Okay, seeking both to protect and preserve the environment, and enhance the means of doing so in a manner consistent with their respective need and concern in different level of economic development. So here, even though it is not put into Article 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the Marrakesh Agreement of GATT or some other agreement under the WTO, it is acknowledged under the preamble. And the preamble here has the legal effect as mentioned by the judge in the appellate body report in the U.S. Supreme case in 1998. So here, environmental protection, sustainable development is also need, okay, the legal recognition by the member of the WTO. So when you violate any provision that destroy the sustainable development, they destroy the environment, they destroy the social need, you will also be eligible to be filed a complaint by the other for your violation of the preamble clause of the WTO Marrakesh Agreement. Got a point right now? Okay. Is it clear enough for you? Okay. So, okay, so I think we should stop right now and then come back at 7:30. Okay. So enjoy your dinner with your loved one, with your family. So I will be back at 7:30. All right. Have a nice dinner, guys. Hello, guys. Hello.
Hello, like.
Hello.
All right. Okay. So welcome back to our session today. I talk a lot so far, but very fruitful, I guess. At least I can make you. I can make you guys feel not very clear, but at least a little clearer than before about what is happening at the BTO and what is the organization really. Okay, what the organization really is. Okay, so a moment ago I just shared with you the purpose of the wait. Can you see the slide right now?
Yes, like
Okay.
Yes, like.
So yeah. A moment ago, just like before the break, I explained to you about the legal significance of the preamble clause of Madagascar agreement that underline the four important objectives of this organization. And then the other non-economic objective were also stressed and also mentioned about the case law by the made by the judge of the appellate body in the report on the U.S. film 1998. They also gave the precedent on how the thing that are mentioned in the preamble clause are legally important compared to the operative clause. Okay, so let us move on to the function of the WTO, which is also underlined in Article 3 of the Madagascar Agreement. And as I just a moment ago explained to you with the screen share, okay, on the WTO Madagascar Agreement in 1995. Right now, let us look at Article 3 of the agreement. Article 3 said that the WTO shall facilitate and provide framework.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
I'm not sure about it is my problem, but I cannot see the slide.
Okay, wait. Okay, so can you see the slide right now? Everybody can you confirm?
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Okay. Okay, so the first function of the WTO is to facilitate and provide framework for the implementation, administration, and also operation of the agreement. The agreement mean there are more than 10 agreements under WTO. We got agreement on shipping, agreement on custom violation, agreement on ISPRs, agreement on TBT, agreement on import licensing, agreement on anti-dumping, agreement on subsidy and countervailing measure, agreement on DSU, dispute settlement understanding, agreement on intellectual property rights, agreement on government procurement. Okay, so there are many agreements under the WTO. So the WTO will facilitate as the framework of implementation, administration, and the operation of the agreement I just mentioned a moment ago. Okay. Number two, the WTO shall provide a forum for negotiation for the member for the MTA. Okay. So you will know later on what does it mean by the word MTA here. So it means that the multilateral agreement, that when the agreement come into force in the multilateral manner under the WTO, the other member who do not sign the agreement, but they are member of the WTO, they must automatically apply the WTO multilateral trade agreement. Okay. Under the WTO, there are two types of agreement. First one is multilateral trade agreement MTA, and second one is plurilateral trade agreement PTA. Multilateral trade agreement refers to the agreement under WTO, which will apply to all members of the WTO once the agreement are signed. Normally, the agreement is signed by 3/3 majority. A 2/3 majority means that P7. Okay, so if the agreement are signed and then put into force, the other member who do not sign, the minority who do not sign, will also need to apply that MTA, multilateral trade agreement, because it is automatically applicable to all members when the agreement is into force. However, the other one we call PTA, plurilateral trade agreement. It is also the agreement of the WTO, but it only applies to the member who signed them. So the member that do not sign them will not apply that WTO PTA. Okay. So again, MTA applicable to all one the agreement is into force. While PTA, plurilateral trade agreement, only apply to the member that sign them. While the other member who are the member of the WTO but do not sign that agreement, will not need to apply that agreement. Got a point? All right. Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So yes, come on.
Can you give example what kind of PTA?
Okay. Go with me right now. For example, aircraft agreement. Aircraft agreement is also under the WTO agreement PTA. But Cambodia has nothing or has no interest in aircraft service. So if we sign that agreement, we will be responsible for providing the flow of aircraft service repairment into Cambodia without taking any duty or tariff. It will be very costly for Cambodia for its national revenue from the aircraft service, for example. So we do not need to sign PTA on aircraft service. So when we do not sign, even though the other majority of the member of the WTO sign that PTA on the aircraft agreement, we do not need to apply. We are not bound by that agreement. Let's go with me, okay, to see the agreement. Okay. Go to Marrakesh agreement because it is mentioned in Marrakesh agreement. Okay, can you see Marrakesh agreement right now? Come on, confirm me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, here, list of annex. Annex 1 is the multilateral agreement on trade in good. Okay, multilateral agreement or MTA, multilateral trade agreement to make it short. MTA. So MTA here consists of agriculture, SPS, textile and clothing, TBT, TRIP, okay, TRIM, trade-related investment measure. This one is the anti-dumping. Okay, this one is the subsidy and countervailing measure. But we have the different name. It is the same, but we name it in a different way in a separate agreement. Agreement on pre-shipment inspection, route origin, import licensing, subsidy, and safeguard, for example. Yeah. And then we have plurilateral. Okay. So this, okay, trade policy review mechanism, DSU, Annex 2, Annex 1A, 1B, 1C are all multilateral trade agreement. It applies to all members. Okay. But for the PTA here, plurilateral agreement here, only apply to the member that sign them, that ratify them. For example, agreement on trade in civil aircraft. Okay, if we are not a member of that agreement, no need to apply. You got it? So which point that mentioned about the application of this PTA and MTA? Go to see with me. Okay, go to see article 2. Anybody can see article 2 right now? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. កន្លែងនេះក៏កន្លែងដែលត្រូវច្បាស់ពីព្រោះយើងនឹងយល់ថាអាហ្នឹងក៏ខុសពីកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងផ្សេងទៀតខុសពីអង្គការផ្សេងទៀតអង្គការនេះបែងចែក agreement ជាពីរមួយអនុវត្តទៅទាំងអស់គ្នាមួយអនុវត្តតែអ្នកដែល sign ទេ Let's go to see article 2 together and then see paragraph 2 The agreement and associated legal instrument included in Annex 1, 2, 3 I just showed you a moment ago. The Annex 1, 2, 3 herein abstract refers to as the multilateral trade agreement are integral part of this agreement, binding on all members. Okay, binding on all members. While the agreement associated legal instrument included in Annex 4. Annex 4 I just showed to you about PTA. Herein abstract refers to as PTA, plurilateral trade agreement, are also part of this agreement for those members, okay, that have accepted them and binding on those members only. The PTA do not create either obligation or right for the member that have not accepted them. Are you clear right now with the article 2 para 2 right here? Okay. តើនឹងច្បាស់នៅមានផុសតាងនៅអូខេទទួលយកបាននៅ
Yes, sir.
អូខេអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំអត់និយាយចោលទេខ្ញុំនិយាយខ្ញុំមានមេត្រាដើម្បីយោងហើយបើមានកែតវ៉ាចាំប្រាប់មកហើយតិចទៀតយើងនឹងដល់មេត្រាទី1មេត្រា1មិនមេត្រាទី1មេត្រាមានទីទេមេត្រា1នៃនេះខ្ញុំនឹងឲ្យគ្នាយើងណាម្នាក់អានហើយបញ្យល់ខ្ញុំណាបញ្យល់ខ្ញុំ ហើយយើងយល់ថាអ្វីបានជាគ្មានបណ្ណាគេចាប់អារម្មណ៍រឿង World Trade Law ពីព្រោះវាអត់ងាយស្រួលរៀនបាទអត់ងាយស្រួលរៀនទេវាពិបាកណាស់ចាំខ្ញុំឲ្យមើល Okay. Number 3, the WTO shall also administer the Dispute Settlement Understanding, or DSU, the Agreement on Dispute Settlement. We call it DSU. The WTO shall also administer trade policy review by the member for monitoring. Cambodia used to undergo 2 trade policy review by the WTO in 2011 and 2017. In 2017, it was conducted in Buenos Aires in the zone Argentina, right? And soon we are gonna have another review, but might be in the next 8 or 7 years. Okay, because as LDC, small country like Cambodia, we need to review 8 or 7 years for one time. But for the US and China, they need to review every year because they are superpower. Their trade relation is very complicated and they dominate international trading system. I mean, the trade flow in the world is mostly dominated by the EU, by Japan, by China, and US and Canada. That is why these 4 or 5 members of the WTO needs to undertake trade policy review annually every year. It is determined by the trade policy review provision. Okay. Number 5, the WTO does not need to work alone, but it needs to also cooperate with the other IGO. For example, with IMF, for example, with World Bank. Okay, guys, keep in mind, IMF and World Bank, the member are the same. Okay. Remember, if you go to see the Article 2, the agreement of IMF in 1944, and also Article 2, the agreement of World Bank in 1994, it said that the member of IMF are member of World Bank. The member of World Bank are member of IMF. Okay, so keep in mind, membership in IMF and World Bank is the same. Okay. If you are a member of IMF, you are automatically the member of World Bank. If you are a member of World Bank, you are automatically the member of IMF. So you can join either one, and then you can actually get both membership. Okay. So WTO does not work alone. WTO need to work with the other IGO to promote economic development, especially trade. So the other IGO that needs to work closely with the WTO must be IMF and World Bank. United Nations is somehow very far because United Nations is something about politics, security more than trade. But United Nations also provide a platform, what we call United Nations Trade and Development, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD. I think you used to hear, anybody used to hear the word UNCTAD? Anybody used to hear? UNCTAD. All right. Okay, you can go check later on. Okay, so even though UN is somehow theoretically different from the World Bank, from World Bank, from IMF, from the WTO, still the UN engaged with this organization by using what we call United Nations Conference on Trade and Development that allow the member of United Nations who are also the member of the WTO to join the platform and then relate themselves to international trade, relate themselves to the WTO. You can see a lot of the word LDC is mentioned in the WTO agreement in order to provide concession. But who defines LDC? It is not the WTO. It is United Nations Committee for Development Policy, UNCDP. It's the one that defines the word LDC. And they have what we call triennial review once in every 3 years. Cambodia just passed the first time in our triennial review by the United Nations Committee for Development Policy in 2021. I joined that with the United Nations, and you can go to check on Ministry of Foreign Affairs website, or you can search on Google. A lot of good news about Cambodia, the first time graduation from the LDC categorization by the United Nations Committee for Development Policy. So if we pass second review in 2014, 2024, 3 years per time. Right now we already passed for the first time in 2021. So in the next 3 years, 2024, if we pass again, because we need to pass 2 times. If we pass only 1 time and then we graduate, what happened? What if the first time is a lack? And then when we graduate, we become poorer. So they want us to pass second time to ensure that we pass not by luck, but pass by our real being, our ability, our income. Okay, got a point, guys? You got it? Okay, don't worry. Okay. So if we pass again the triennial review by the UN CDP in 2024, we will have 3 more years for our graduation. So Cambodia will be graduate from LDC status in 2027. EBA will be automatically removed from Cambodia 3 years after Cambodia graduates. So it means that in 2030, Cambodia will be removed from EBA scheme completely. Okay. So why do we need to care about EBA right now? Since we are sure gonna graduate from LDC in 2027, and then we will get the EBA removed by the EU automatically by 2030 when we graduate from LDC, 3 years after we graduate from LDC. So learn to live by yourself right now. Do not depend too much until the day that they will leave you soon. Right now, they just leave 20%, withdraw 20%, partial withdrawal or 20% of EBA. So we should know how to learn to live by ourselves. No need to depend on EU EBA scheme 100%, 100%, alright. So learn to enjoy, learn to live by yourself before you graduate. Okay. Back then, I went too far. Okay. So the WTO need to work with other NGO, for example, IMF and World Bank. For example, during the COVID-19, a number of countries impose or what we call apply restrictive measure on exporting PPE, personal protective equipment, and also medical service, because they want to stockpile at home. They want to keep at home to cure their own people first before they can export to the overseas. So when they fail to export to the foreign market, the global demand for PPE, personal protective equipment, and also medical supply from the EU, the restrict export. Yeah. The other country, they could not find any equipment or medical treatment to treat their own people. And then a lot of people were killed in India, a lot of people were killed in Italy, for example, because the country that are expertise in making medicine did not export medicine. Okay. That is why the World Bank and IMF intervened by joining what we call a joint statement between IMF, World Bank, and WTO, recalling all the members to remove export barrier so that the private company in that country can export medical supply or PPE to the other country that need it during the COVID-19 pandemic severity. Okay. So here the WTO also work with the IMF and World Bank. You can go to search the World Bank, the WTO joint statement on COVID-19 relief measure. You will see. Okay. The WTO not only about promoting trade, but also provide technical assistance for developing member like Cambodia. If you go to see all article of, if you go to see all agreement of the WTO, you will see that all agreement must at least include 1 or 2 articles for technical assistance and development assistance for developing member or least developed member. Okay, least developed member. You got a point, guys? Okay. All right. Can I move on? Yes,
we cannot see the slide that you are showing us, Chair. It just
you cannot see? Not what? Yeah, function. Okay.
We can see the page 10.
Yeah, function of the WTO, right?
No, Chair, it is only at number 4. The general agreement of GATT 1994 is specified in Annex 1A.
Oh, really?
Yes, Chair.
Wait. Oh, wait. So this one? See it right now?
Yes, Chair.
Okay,
At first, we only see the Marrakesh one. Now we see.
Okay, very good. Okay. So I explained to you already about thing that I mentioned in the slide right here. So these are the functions of the WTO. Okay. And guy, I want to tell you one thing. You remember my word? Who defined LDC for Cambodia? Not for Cambodia, but for the rest of the world. Who defined? Anybody know who defined LDC status for of Cambodia or the other country? ហើយបណ្ដាគេកំណត់ថាកម្ពុជាគឺជាប្រទេស LDC ខ្ញុំទើបនិយាយមិញ Who?
The UN teacher.
United Nations, right? United Nations define LDC status for the country in the world, not the World Bank, not IMF, not the country itself. But that is the word least developed country. But for the word developing country, no definition, guy. There is no definition of the word developing country. Next semester, I will devote one course for you to learn about LDC graduation of Cambodia. You will enjoy, trust me. But right now, I just want to give you a clue or to give you some light that we have definitions of LDC, but we don't have definition of developing countries right now. Even the World Bank, even IMF, they give the level of income, but not the definition of developing countries. So who define? Under the WTO, the member have right to declare themselves as the developing members. And you know what happened? South Korea and China declare themselves as developing countries. Anybody know that? Even Singapore used to declare itself that I am the developing member under the WTO. Anybody know why they want to declare themselves as developing member?
Because they get more benefit.
Exactly, because they have a lot of special preference. Anybody know what happened in 2019? What Mr. Trump said? Trump said that South Korea and China should stop lying to us that you are still a developing member under the WTO. By declaring yourself as the developing member under the WTO, you exploit a lot from the UI, from EU, from the other country who declare themselves as developed countries under the WTO. You exploit from the provision of DSU, you exploit from the provision of intellectual property, you exploit from the provisions of export restriction or some other provision, right? So US does not, US condemn South Korea, condemn China not to be the free rider. Free rider means the one that is doing nothing and then gain a preference, even though they are rich. Okay. Anybody can check Google right now, you will see Trump denounce South Korea developing member status under WTO. Trump denounced China's developing member status under the WTO. If you don't believe, you can go to check by yourself. Check anytime, trust me. You will see the news right there. Okay.
Teacher, so
Yes.
in the WTO, the economic status of state, they declare arbitrary in
Yeah.
the WTO.
Yeah, it is the arbitrary declaration. Okay. But for LDC, you cannot declare arbitrarily. You need to, because the WTO will use the definition provided by United Nations, especially United Nations CDP, Committee for Development Policy of ECOSOC. Okay. អញ្ចឹងចាំឲ្យច្បាស់ LDC មានគេកំណត់ UN developing member មានអ្នកកំណត់ទេនិយាយច្បាស់យ៉ាងវិញ Got a point now?
Yeah, teacher.
អញ្ចឹងបញ្ជាក់ច្បាស់ឡើយនឹងមួយគ្នាអញ្ចឹងឲ្យយល់ថាពីណាគេបង្កើតអីពីណាគេបង្កើតអីឲ្យច្បាស់មួយគ្នា Okay. Basic rule of the video. Okay, very interesting, guy. Very interesting because you will know today. I think this one slide explain everything about the backbone of the video. Explain everything about the integral part of the video. Okay. So the first rule of the WTO is the rule on non-discrimination. It means that when you are a member of the WTO, you must open your border for trade. You cannot say, I'm right now a member of the WTO, but I don't want to open my international trade border. Okay, I just keep myself closed. I don't want to export. I don't want to import. I keep myself close to myself only, right? I don't care about the rest of the world. No, as a member of the WTO, you have the obligation to open your border for the flows of goods and service. You have the right to regulate them. For example, impose 2 or 3% of tariff on imported product, but you cannot close. You cannot close. Some people say that, oh wow, EU is gonna withdraw 100% of EBA from Cambodia soon, so Cambodia will not be exported to EU. Stupid. EU is the member of the WTO. Sorry, not United Nations. EU is the member of the WTO. Cambodia is the member of the WTO. If EU closed the border because of EBA withdrawal from Cambodia, EU clearly violate Article 1 of the WTO. It means that trade liberalization. you have to open your market access. Okay, rule on market access. All right. So yeah, I'm talking about point number 2 already, right? But the first rule is the rule on non-discrimination. Okay, but it must be related to the rule on market access. It means that you when you are a member of the WTO, you must open up to the rest of the world. You cannot close yourself. If you close, you violate. Open up means you still can impose custom duty, but still allow other to import into your country. Okay, to import into your country, you can impose duty, you can impose non-tariff barrier, but make sure that you do not close the border. Okay, you can impose anything that are in line with that are in accordance with the WTO provision, but don't close the border. Don't close the border, otherwise you will violate international trade law. Okay, but before the market access rule, we got the rule on non-discrimination. Meaning that if you are a member of the WTO, you must treat all the other members equally. What do you mean by equally? According to the first and very famous principle of the WTO, which is called âm. Let me ask you, anybody used to hear word âm when you studied IPE or you studied another course? I heard we also got one international trade theory, right? Touched by another lecturer, right? In the semester?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So you got a point. What is âm? Anybody know?
Most
Yes,
favored
sir.
nation, sir.
What does it mean? I know who. What does it mean?
It means like you favor the poor nation.
Okay. Okay. Today, yeah. Today you will open your eye, because I was like you guys when I was in your generation. Why? Because when I saw the word most favored nation, I mean I already conclude the definition that it is the provision that asks the member to favor any member, not to treat equally. And here, most favored nation is the principle that do not allow any member of the WTO to favor anyone. Okay. Contradictory, right? So, wow, the word is most favored nation, meaning that it must be favoring any nation in the WTO if we appreciate that, if we appreciate them, for example. But no, it is contrast. Most favored nation here is the principle that the WTO does not allow any member to favor anyone at the expense of the other. It means that if you are a member of the WTO, you must treat everybody equally. It is called principle. Okay, clear now? What does it mean by treat everybody equally? Treat in terms of what? What should we compare in order to know that we treat this one equally to this one? We have one article, very complicated, but with me today, you will see how you can read, you can understand that article 1, the very basic principle of the WTO, and it's always diffused at the WTO diffuse settlement body. But go with me to see that article right now. Get article 1, and right now we go back to get, all right? Because as I said, get is the most important law of the WTO, even though it is parsed, but it has been integrated into the new version, so it's still applicable right now. Okay, go to see get with me right now, guys. ខ្ញុំបរៀនខ្ញុំអត់លាក់ណាទៅទាំងអស់បើអត់ចេះអានឹងជាកំហុសពួកយើងទេមិនជាកំហុសខ្ញុំទេពីព្រោះខ្ញុំហើយមិនដែរចង់បានលុយចော့អត់គ្មានបំណងអីសោះតែម្ដងចង់តែចែកម្លែកឲ្យគ្នាយើងចេះហើយបង្កើតជាធនធានចំនួនក្រោយកុំឲ្យឥឡូវយើងខ្វះអ្នកចរចាច្រើនណាស់អញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យយើងនេះ Okay guys, can you see get 1947 right now?
Yes.
Here? Okay, go to see article 1. Udom, read for me and tell me what you understand from article 1. Okay. Okay, here's the preamble clause, all right? Again, I said. Okay, Udom, read article 1 for me for the class, and then I will inform the class, and then you will rely from now on what is okay, here we call it, wait. So to today be clear, okay, do not be confused like Udom just mentioned a moment ago. Okay, come on, Udom.
With respect to custom duties and charges of any imposed on or in connection with importation or exportation or exposed on the international transfer of payment for export or for import or export, and with respect to the method of levying such duties and charges with respect to rules and formalities in connection with importation and exportation, and with respect to all matters referred to in paragraph 2 and 4 of Article 3. Any advantage, favor, privilege, or immunity granted by any contracting party to any product originating in or destined to another country shall be accorded immediately and unconditionally to the like product originating in or destined for the territories of all other contracting parties.
Okay, can you explain what does it mean? Is it what you just said that we need to favor small or poor country like you mentioned a moment ago?
No, sir. But I think this one is refers that like country and country should trade with either with the same rate of tariff, the same rate of non-tariff, like that, sir.
Okay, good. Yeah, because you got the definition of and I just told you a moment ago. You can conclude, but in fact, I know that you cannot understand. Trust me, you cannot understand from reading here. True or not?
True, sir. Very confusing, sir.
Okay. With respect to custom duty and charge of any kind imposed on or in connection with importation and exportation, or imposed on international transfer payment or for import and export, with respect to the method of levying such duty and charge, and with respect to all rule and formality in connection with importation and exportation, and with respect to the matter referred to in para 2 and para 4 of Article 3, international treatment, MT, any advantage, okay? So here is only the reference. Any advantage in custom duty, any advantage in method of levying such duty, any respect or any advantage of rule and formality, okay, in respect of any just advantage, favor, privilege, immunity ដែលតាក់ទងប្រមាណin respect ខាងលើហ្នឹង granted by any contracting party to any product originating or destined for any other country shall be accorded immediately and unconditionally to the like product originating in or destined for the territory of the other contracting party. បានន័យថាតាក់ទងនឹងការយកពន្ធខ្ញុំនិយាយភាសាខ្មែរស្ដាប់ឲ្យបានគ្នាយើងតាក់ទងនឹងការយកពន្ធគយ custom duty គឺពន្ធគយហើយនឹងកម្រៃផ្សេងទៀតតាក់ទងទៅនឹងការនាំចេញការនាំចូលឬក៏ដែលតាក់ទងទៅនឹង transfer payment សម្រាប់ការនាំចេញការនាំចូលគេពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងវិធីនៃការកាត់ពន្ធនិងវិធីនឹងកម្រៃផ្សេងទៀតហើយនឹងពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងវិធានក៏ដូចជាទម្រង់ដែលពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងការនាំចេញទី1គឺពន្ធគយហើយនឹង other charge អូខេទី2តាក់ទងទៅនឹង international transfer អូខេទៅលើការនាំចេញការនាំចូលទី3តាក់ទងទៅនឹងការកំណត់វិធីកំណត់ពន្ធអូខេទី4តាក់ទងទៅនឹងទម្រង់ហើយនឹងវិធានតាក់ទងទៅនឹងការនាំចេញនិងការនាំចូលហើយនឹងតាក់ទងទៅនឹងចំណុចផ្សេងទៀតដែលនឹងកំណត់នៅក្នុងមាត្រា3ប៉ារ៉ា2 4គឺអ្វីដែលតាក់ទងទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងណាគឺដែលមាន advantage ដែលមាន favor ដែលមាន privilege ដែលមាន immunity ត្រូវតែផ្ដល់ដែលបានផ្ដល់ឲ្យដោយប្រទេសមួយយើងហៅប្រទេសហ្មងថាខ្ញុំនិយាយភាគីយើងនិយាយប្រទេសស្រួលយល់ហើយប៉ុន្តែយើងដឹងថាហ្នឹងជាភាគីដែលផ្ដល់ឲ្យដល់ប្រទេសមួយទៅលើផលិតផលដែលនាំចេញមកពី originating ដែលកើតនៅទឹកដីប្រទេសណាមួយឬក៏ដែលមានគោលដៅសម្រាប់នាំចេញទៅប្រទេសណាមួយពីព្រោះ originating in សំដៅទៅលើផលិតផលដែលយើង import មកវា originate ដល់ណាដល់ពេលផលិតផលដែល export គឺ destined ទៅណាអញ្ចឹងបានគេពាក្យដាក់ពី originating ផង destined ផង destined ហ្នឹងគឺ destination និយាយថាអញ្ចឹងបានន័យថាអាមិញខាងលើហ្នឹងហើយadvantage favor privilege immunity ដែលតាក់ទងទៅនឹង4ខាងលើមិញនោះដែលផ្ដល់ឲ្យដោយប្រទេសមួយទៅលើផលិតផលមួយដែលមកពីឬក៏នឹងគ្រោងចេញទៅភាគីនៃប្រទេសមួយទៀតត្រូវតែផ្ដល់ឲ្យដូចគ្នាភ្លាមនិងដោយគ្មានលក្ខខណ្ឌ từ lơផលិតផលដូចគ្នាដែលនាំចូលមកឬក៏នាំចេញទៅប្រទេសផ្សេងទៀតដែលជាសមាជិករបស់ GATT អញ្ចឹងមានន័យថាបើសិនជាឲ្យ advantage ឲ្យ favor ឲ្យ privilege ឲ្យ immunity ទៅលើផលិតផលណាមួយដែលនាំចូលដែលផលិតនៅក្នុងប្រទេសនោះឬក៏នាំចេញទៅប្រទេសនោះត្រូវតែឲ្យអាកម្រិត favor advantage privilege immunity ហ្នឹងតើទៅនឹង custom duty តើទៅនឹង levy paying tax តើទៅនឹងឯណាមិញហ្នឹង rule formality ហ្នឹងត្រូវតែឲ្យក្នុងកម្រិតដូចគ្នាទៅលើផលិតផលមកពីប្រទេសផ្សេងទៀតប៉ុន្តែផលិតផលហ្នឹងមិនត្រូវតែជា the light product ស្គាល់អត់ស្គាល់ light product អត់ light ប្រែមកថាដូចគ្នាមិនអញ្ចឹង light product got a point អញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាផលិតផល iPhone A ឬ iPhone យើងនិយាយ iPhone មួយចុះកុំនិយាយ iPhone នាំចូលមកពីថៃណានាំចូលមកពីថៃហើយ iPhone មួយទៀតនាំចូលមកពីជប៉ុននិយាយយ៉ាងវិញ iPhone ទាំងពីរហ្នឹង live product អត់និយាយវិញ live product អត់
Light ជើ
live product អូខេលើសត្វមកតែពីរហ្នឹង live product ដូចគ្នាអត់មានខុសគ្នាទេយើងកុំនិយាយមួយ iPhone 6ជាមួយ iPhone 4មួយ iPhone និយាយតែ iPhone ដូចគ្នាអញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាកម្ពុជាឲ្យ favor advantage privilege ឬក៏ immunity ឥឡូវថាយើងឲ្យ favor ទៅខាងថៃឲ្យណែនាំចូលមកមិនបាច់បង់ពន្ធច្រើនបង់តែ 2% អាហ្នឹងគឺជា favor តាក់ទងអីតាក់ទងទៅនឹង custom duty នេះយើងលើនេះឬក៏វិធីកំណត់ពន្ធឬក៏វិធីនេះគឺយើងអូខេយកគាត់តែ 2% ទេអញ្ចឹងទៅលើផលិតផលជប៉ុនដែលជាទូរស័ព្ទគេហៅថា light product ត្រូវតែគិត 2% ដែរដោយគ្មានលក្ខខណ្ឌនឹងដោយភ្លាមយល់អត់អូខេនិយាយសកត់តែធ្ងន់ទៅមើលរីកាយតិចមិនតែចង់ឲ្យយល់ឥឡូវយល់នៅថាតើតែផលិតផលដូចគ្នាទើបទទួលបាន the same treatment បន្តិចស្រាប់ថាអូខ្ញុំគោរពមេត្រាមួយច្បាស់ណាស់ហើយអ្នកឯងយកពន្ធគេពីទូរស័ព្ទ iPhone ពីថៃអ្នកឯងយកតែ 2% ដល់ពេលខ្ញុំឆ្នាំអគ្គិសនីនាំចេញពីខ្ញុំអ្នកឯងយក 20% អត់អាច compare ថានឹងខុសថានឹង unequal treatment មិនទេពីព្រោះផលិតផលមិនមែនជា live product ទេគេឲ្យដូចគ្នា immediately unconditionally តែក្នុងលក្ខខណ្ឌផលិតផលពីរនឹងវាដូចគ្នាអញ្ចឹងឲ្យពន្ធត្រូវពន្ធស្មើគ្នាឲ្យ favor advantage immunity ត្រូវឲ្យស្មើគ្នាប៉ុន្តែបើផលិតផលផ្សេងគ្នារឿងពីរផ្សេងគ្នាណាតើតែផលិតផលដូចគ្នាទើបត្រូវការ the same national treatment អញ្ចឹងពាក្យនៅក្នុងមាត្រាមួយដែលសំខាន់ជាងគេគឺពាក្យ live product what does it mean by the word live product is perfume for example Chanel or Tabui yeah the same product perfume they are perfume in category of perfume but Tabui has another smell Chanel has another smell or Revlon Charlie has another smell let's say that are they the live product I cannot answer to the question even the judge right now cannot answer the question because many products are quite similar but they have different technicality of using so we need to examine one by one all right so keep in mind we can give treatment to only the product that are light អញ្ចឹងបើយើងនាំចូលឡានពីថៃ 5% លេងថាពីមុនគឺ 100% យើងត្រូវនាំចូលបង់ពន្ធគាត់ថាទិញ $10,000 បង់ពន្ធ $100,000 ទៀតវាត្រូវ $20,000 ប៉ុន្តែឥឡូវអូខេនាំចូលពីថៃមកខ្ញុំបង់ពន្ធឲ្យយកពន្ធតែ 10% ទេអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំផ្ដល់ favor អ្នកឯងគឺលុបបាត់ពន្ធ 90% ណាអញ្ចឹងនាំចូលឡាន Toyota ហើយឡា Vigo ហ្នឹងមកអញ្ចឹងនាំចូលមកនោះគឺ $10,000 យើងបង់ពន្ធតាម 10% ទេ 10% គឺតាម $1,000 ទេអញ្ចឹងមកដល់ស្រុកខ្មែរគឺលក់តាម $11,000 ទេពេលឡាន Toyota ហើយឡា Vigo នាំចូលមកពីអានេះជា live product ណានាំចូលមកពីជប៉ុនលេងយកពន្ធ $30 សួរថាតើ a favor advantage privilege immunity ដែលផ្ដល់ឲ្យឡាន Toyota Vigo មកពីថៃនោះមាន equal treatment ជាមួយនឹង the live product Toyota Vigo មកពីជប៉ុនអត់ដូចគ្នាអាមួយ 10% អានេះ 20% ជប៉ុន 20% ហើយឡានដូចគ្នា live product សួរថាតើរំលោភមាត្រាមួយនៃ get up
Low chair.
Yes, indeed. So that is the point of most probation. ចឹងកុំ confuse ថាទៅលើឃើញពាក្យ most probation គឺសំដៅទៅលើគោលការណ៍ដែលយើងត្រូវតែ favor ប្រទេសមួយឃើញពាក្យ most favor អាហ្នឹងនឹងតែ favor ពីណាមួយហើយកុំថាយើងខ្ញុំមិនមែនថាពួកយើងអត់ចេះទេខ្ញុំក៏អត់ចេះដែរពេលខ្ញុំអត់ដឹងពេលខ្ញុំអត់ involve ជ្រៅដល់ពេលខ្ញុំ involve ជ្រៅបើហ្នឹងថាគេកាលណាគេនិយាយពាក្យ most probation duty បើថាជប៉ុនដាក់ទៅលើផលិតផលមួយហើយ apply លើ rate ហ្នឹងលើប្រទេសទាំងអស់ដែលនាំចូលផលិតផលមួយនឹង live product អូខេ ដល់ពេលផលិតផលផ្សេងឆ្នាំបាយអគ្គិសនីគេមើលពន្ធអានឹងបើអានឹង 5% ឆ្នាំបាយអគ្គិសនីឆ្នាំបាយអគ្គិសនីមកពីប្រទេសផ្សេងត្រូវ 5% ដែរផ្លែស្វាយនាំចូលមកគឺត្រូវពន្ធ 15% ដោយសារការពីផលិតផលកសិកម្មក្នុងស្រុកយើងចឹងយក 15% អញ្ចឹងអាស្វាយមកពីស្រុកគេគឺ 15% ដូចគ្នាអញ្ចឹងអាឡៃ product មួយអាចតម្លៃមួយនេះគឺត្រូវតែដូចគ្នាបើអានេះស្វាយអានោះនាំចូលស្វាយបើត្រូវតែពន្ធដូចគ្នា immediately and unconditionally what we call most subordination got the point guys right okay
Yes, sir.
អ្នកផ្សេងយល់អត់និយាយឲ្យរៀងកាយទេមិនដែរខ្ញុំអត់កាយមនុស្សអត់កាយតែគាត់ចង់ឲ្យច្បាស់ឥឡូវយល់អត់
Vô chưa?
Yes, yes.
អូខេឲ្យច្បាស់អូខេ
ចា៎
អញ្ចឹង
អាកន្លែងដូចហ្នឹងដូចតែ product អត់មានគិតរឿងដូចគុណភាពអីទេចា៎
អាហ្នឹងឯងបាទខ្ញុំនិយាយថាតើអ្វីទៅជា live product ខ្ញុំឯសំណួរហ្នឹងមិនបាទខ្ញុំយកមកសួរពួកយើងដោយសារតែពេលខ្ញុំរៀនចាច់គេសួរខ្ញុំពេល Body ចាច់នៅ WTO ហ្នឹងគាត់ខ្លាចទៅជាអនុរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីរបស់ក្រសួងពាណិជ្ជកម្មអ្នកចរចារបស់ចក្រភពអង់គ្លេសហើយសាលាខ្ញុំហ្នឹងគាត់បញ្ជូលសិតតា renowned scholar យកមកបរៀនមានចាច់ពីអីដល់ពេលគាត់សួរខ្ញុំថាតើ what is the most important keyword in this នេះហើយខ្ញុំអាហ្នឹងធ្វើដូចនេះវាគ្រប់ព្រាឆ្លើយប៉ុន្តែដល់ពេលអ្នកខ្លះថា immunity privilege ពាក្យហ្នឹងសិតស្រួលបកស្រាយទេ rule formality levying គេ charge at the kind and according immediately unconditionally ហើយវាថាអត់តន់រកឃើញហើយឆ្លើយទាំងអស់ប៉ុន្តែដល់ពេលម្នាក់ឆ្លើយគេដល់ពេលគាត់ប្រាប់ថាពាក្យដែលកលឹះដែលគេឆ្លុះគ្នាជាងគេគឺពាក្យ live product ពីព្រោះអ្វីទៅជា live product សូម្បីតែ iPhone មាន iPhone មិន iPhone វាមានហើយយើងនិយាយតែ iPhone 7 ចុះ 7 ធម្មតា 7 Plus សួរថាអាហ្នឹងជា live product អត់ឥឡូវបើសិនជា7 Plus នាំចូលមកពីថៃមកអត់ចូលពន្ធតែដល់ពេល7ធម្មតាយកមកពីជប៉ុនមកយកពន្ធ 5% សួរថាជប៉ុនប្តឹងយើងបានអត់ជប៉ុនអាចប្តឹងបានថាផលិតផលពីរហ្នឹងដូចគ្នាមិនបានយើងយកពន្ធពីថៃ0យកពន្ធពីជប៉ុននេះពីព្រោះវាជា live product ប៉ុន្តែយើងសួរថាអាហ្នឹង live នៅបើមួយ7 Plus មួយ7ធម្មតាហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងគ្មានប្រទេសណាអាចមានសិទ្ធិបកស្រាយប្រទេសមានសិទ្ធិបកស្រាយប៉ុន្តែអ្នកដែលសម្រេចគឺចាច់ហើយនៅក្នុង DSU ក្នុង Dispute Settlement Understanding គឺចាច់មានសិទ្ធិក្នុងការប្រឹក្សាជាមួយ expert ក្នុងជំនាញទាក់ទងទៅនឹងផលិតផលដែលកំពុងមានចំនួនទឹកអប់មិនខ្ញុំនិយាយវិញអញ្ចឹងចាច់គាត់មិនដឹងទេថាអា Revlon Charlie ហើយនឹង Chanel នេះពីរហ្នឹងជា live product ហើយប៉ុន្តែ smell ខុសគ្នាអញ្ចឹងអាមួយនេះត្រូវអា smell នេះត្រូវយកពន្ធពីនេះអា smell នេះត្រូវយកពន្ធពីនេះដល់ពេលនេះស្រាប់តែគេថាឯងមិនយកពន្ធខុសគ្នាយ៉ាងផលិតផលមួយទៅមិនវាជា live product ដូចគ្នាមិនប៉ុន្តែ live product អ្ហ្មិចបើ smell វាផ្សេងគ្នាហ្នឹងទំហំប៉ុនគ្នា10ដូចគ្នាឥឡូវនិយាយតែ10ដូចគ្នាចុះមួយ brand Charlie មួយ brand Revlon យើងមើលទៅគឺយ៉ាទំហំប៉ុនគ្នាអីទាំងអស់គួរតែជា live product ប៉ុន្តែក្លិនផ្សេងគ្នាព្រោះថាមកក្លិនហើយអត់មើលឃើញទេអានេះក្លិនសុទ្ធសាធយើងអត់មើលឃើញទេប៉ុន្តែសួរថាពីណាគេអ្នកកំណត់បាន we cannot determine the country cannot okay only the judge has the right to determine we call description ឆន្ទានុសិទ្ធិចាប់បានហើយអញ្ចឹងពាក្យ keyword គឺ live product immediately ក៏បញ្ហា immediately បើថាបើសិនជាគេឲ្យនោះ 5% អ្នកផ្សេងនាំចូលមកត្រូវឲ្យភ្លាមមកឲ្យមានថាអានេះiPhone នាំចូលពីថៃមកខ្ញុំឲ្យ 5% ដល់ពេលជប៉ុននាំចូលពីហ្នឹងដែរជប់ឲ្យតោះនេះចាំមកឥឡូវនាំគិតពុនសិនចាំអាទិត្យក្រោយចាំឲ្យអត់ទេបើឲ្យថៃឥឡូវជប៉ុនទៅឲ្យឥឡូវភ្លាមតែម្ដង unconditionally ដោយគ្មានលក្ខខណ្ឌនិងដោយភ្លាមសម្រាប់ផលិតផលដូចគ្នា got the point all right clear now
Yes ចា៎
អ្នកផ្សេងនិយាយខ្មែរមកស្រួលយល់អត់អ្នកផ្សេង
Yes, sir.
មកសួរមក
ចង់បញ្ជាក់តិចដោយសារតែ live product ហ្នឹងភាគច្រើនมันអាចនឹង differentiate in របៀប in quality in ingredients អីចឹង so mostly អាហ្នឹង apply បានភាគច្រើនដែលអាច fair ហ្មងទៅលើ agriculture ទៅអត់ចុះដោយសារតែឧបមាថា
agriculture គឺបើបើបន្លែគឺតកួនវាដឹងតែតកួនហើយបើតកួនស្រុកណាក៏នៅវាតែតកួនដែរវាមានបញ្ហាទេវាមិនមែនជាបច្ចេកទេសទេតសក់គឺតសក់ហើយប៉ុន្តែវាអាចមានតសក់ដំឡូងអញ្ចឹងដំឡូងបារាំងផ្សេងដំឡូងខ្មែរផ្សេងហ្នឹងវាមានវាមិនមែនដូចខ្ញុំនិយាយអញ្ចឹងវាមានខុសគ្នាអញ្ចឹងអញ្ចឹងបានយើងវាពិបាកហើយមាត្រាហ្នឹងខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់មាត្រាដែលគេឆ្លុះគ្នាច្រើនជាងគេនៅក្នុង debate គឺមាត្រាមួយនេះហើយដោយសារតែឆ្លុះគ្នារឿងពាក្យ allied product នេះ ដឹងគេមិនបើគេថាអាហ្នឹងមិនមែនជា live product ប៉ុណ្ណឹងថាឥឡូវយើង live product តែផលផលដូចគ្នាហ្នឹងឥឡូវយើងនិយាយ rank rover នាំចូលមកពីចិន rank rover ចិនអាខ្លាំង copy ដល់ពេល rank rover មួយទៀតគឺនាំមកពីអង់គ្លេសនាំមកពីផលិតផលប្រទេសដែលគេផលិតមែនទែន original តែដល់ពេលមកដល់ស្រុកខ្មែរគឺដូចគ្នាទាំងអស់ឥឡូវយើងទៅចែកយ៉ាងម៉េចយើងទៅយកស្អីជាសង្វល់ហើយយកគុណភាពត្រឹមជិះមួយអាទិត្យពីរអាទិត្យយើងទៅពិនិត្យគុណភាពថាវាល្អមិនល្អបានអត់ក៏ដូចគ្នាហ្នឹងមួយ copy មួយនេះយើងត្រូវអនុវត្តកម្មសិទ្ធិបញ្ញាច្បាប់កម្មសិទ្ធិបញ្ញាអនុវត្តអនោះពីព្រោះបើអត់អនុវត្តទេឡានចិន copy មកក៏ដូចគ្នាឡានចិនធូរថ្លៃយ៉ាងមកប៉ុន្តែឡានចិនអត់មានគុណភាពសោះប៉ុន្តែយើងមើលដឹងហើយយើងដឹងថាវា copy ប៉ុន្តែយើង differentiate វាមិនបើវាដូចគ្នាហ្នឹង live product ហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងมันបញ្ហាវាអញ្ចឹងហើយបើខ្ញុំនិយាយថាហើយបានលោកគ្រូនឹងគាត់សួរថាពាក្យណាដែលជាពាក្យដែល very controversial ជាងគេក្នុងនេះបើយើងខ្ញុំសួរក៏អត់មានឆ្លើយចេញដែរពីព្រោះហើយបើខ្ញុំឆ្លាតចេញតែម្ដងថាវាមិននឹកស្មានថាពាក្យ live product ហ្នឹងជាពាក្យដែលធ្ងន់ធ្ងរជាងគេដល់ពេលយើងវិភាគមិនដឹងថាធ្ងន់ធ្ងរមែនបាទ iPhone មាន iPhone 7 iPhone 7 Plus ទឹកអប់មានអារូបនេះផ្សេងគ្នាទេក្រែមមានអាក្រែមលាបហើយប្រហែលម៉ោងចេញពណ៌អាខ្លះរៀបហើយអាក្រក់នៅអាក្រក់អញ្ចឹងឧទាហរណ៍ចុះអញ្ចឹងហើយវា how do we define the differences or the liveliness of the product? It's very controversial and technically difficult. Okay. And if you ask me the question, teacher, how can we differentiate? I don't have answer. Okay. I'm just the practitioner. Okay. I'm not the judge. Okay. And even the judge need the consultation from the expert in the field. So we might hire the expert of perfume from friend, okay, to differentiate the two products, whether they are like or unlike, not like.
Sure, if it is controversial, why don't they add article to clarify on the live product?
No. So okay, so let me ask you. Can you add right now? Can you add for me? Okay, imagine how to add. So you need to give 3,000 or 3 million pages of classification of differentiation because product happen every day. Innovation happen every day. You can see that during 2018 we got iPhone 8, very popular. Everybody, I think this is the last version. 1-2 months later, iPhone 11 is coming out of Apple factory. So we will put into the global sale on 1st January 2019, for example. So what is your definitions of the live product right here? You need to update. Okay, everybody, every member of the video come to sit here. Right now we got a new iPhone, add into our definition. Can we do so every day? Not even every minute, because new product happen every minute right now in the world. So can you invite, okay, everybody right now, new product, come on, okay. No need to do anything, just sit revising the table, the definition of the live product. Crazy, okay. Everybody will become no longer human. Okay. We just come to sit and then. That is why they gave discretion to the judge to seek technical expert in the field of the product in question. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, come on, Ma.
So country have they tried to amend the word on the article one? It is so controversial.
Amend what?
They amend the article one, like the live product causing many conflicts. So why don't they amend the word for?
So yeah, let me ask you. So what is the best word? The same product? The same product? Yeah, same is fine, absolute. But how can we ensure that it is gonna be same all the time? Okay. How? If you say the same product, there will be no innovation. People, I don't want to add new product because it will not be into the tariff schedule for removal of tariff. Because if I create something that is different from the product that is put into the tariff concession, my product will face high tariff. I don't want to put it still, so iPhone 7 will be iPhone 7 forever, for example. That is same, because same means same everything. Don't be poor, don't beទាំងអស់ Okay, for example, iPhone 7 ដូចគ្នាមួយពណ៌សមួយពណ៌ខ្មៅហើយយើងនិយាយវិញ car, for example, my car is white, my Camry car is white, but in Cambodia we don't talk about Lexus. Lexus, the black one is always more expensive than the white one. Let's talk about my Camry car. Let's say that between a black car and a white car for the Camry, which one is more expensive? Anybody can guess? ឡានកាមេរីពណ៌សពណ៌ខ្មៅណាមួយថ្លៃជាងមានហាងឆេងក្នុងស្រុកខ្មែរជាងនិយាយយ៉ាងវិញណាមានហាងឆេងជាង
សchờពណ៌ស្ករchờ
យ៉ាអត់ទេពណ៌សមិនស្ករទេសគឺពេញនិយមខ្ញុំតែគេឆ្លាញ់ពណ៌សជិះទៅវាអត់ក្តៅពណ៌ខ្មៅវាទាញកម្ដៅមកយើងជិះពណ៌សឥឡូវយើងគ្រាន់តែឡានកាមេរីឡានតែមួយនេះយើងបែងចែកថាអសត្រូវតែថ្លៃយកខ្មៅអញ្ចឹងរដ្ឋត្រូវដាក់ពន្ធអសច្រើនយកខ្មៅអាណាឡានសត្រូវបង់ពន្ធក៏ប៉ុន្តែរដ្ឋអត់អាចធ្វើអញ្ចឹងបានពីព្រោះវាជាផលិតផលតែមួយប៉ុន្តែសូម្បីយើងជាអតិថិជនធម្មតាយើងគាត់យើងរដ្ឋធ្វើត្រូវឯថាអាហ្នឹងជាផលិតផលមួយប៉ុន្តែពួកយើងអសល្អយកខ្មៅហើយឡានតែមួយអញ្ចឹងសួរថាឲ្យយើងកំណត់អា definition light product light same ហ្នឹងមិនបើគ្រាន់តែយើងគ្នាឯងនេះបើឃើញឡានហ្នឹងយើងបែងចែកថាឡានសល្អជាងឡានខ្មៅហ្នឹងអានេះយើងកុំនិយាយដល់ទូរស័ព្ទមានសេរីថ្មីដែលស្រួលមើលថ្មីមាន iPhone មានកាមេរ៉ា 3 4វាដឹងតែលុយអានេះប៉ុន្តែអានេះឡានពណ៌ដូចគ្នាសោះហ្នឹងហើយយើងអាឡានសល្អជាងខ្មៅ for example ហើយឲ្យ define យ៉ាងម៉េច light product ហ្នឹងណាជួយឆ្លើយឲ្យខ្ញុំរាយការណ៍ទៅ DG របស់ WTO មកពេលមិនខ្ញុំរាយការណ៍ជូនរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីដើម្បីឲ្យជា proposal ដល់ WTO កែហ្នឹងបានមុខមាត់ពួកយើងណា come on មកបើធ្វើអាហ្នឹងបានល្អជោគជ័យកំណែទំនង WTO មនុស្ស100មនុស្ស76លាននាក់រកឃើញ reform ម្នាក់នៅ DES vậy ấyស្ងាត់ឈឹងហ៎
អត់ដឹងទេជើ
ខ្លាចគេchờ choខ្ញុំគិតមកយប់សិនជើ
ហ្នឹងឆាប់យកពៀនអូនេះបើរៀនបាទ
តែបានចូលកងអូតូហ្មងមែន
ហ្នឹងហើយអូមិនធ្វើចុកឲ្យទៅឲ្យបាន champion ឲ្យសម្ដេចមកលើកនេះទៅអូបកគលខ្មែរទៅបំផុតដែលអាចកែ WTO បានខ្ញុំរៀនសម័យបាទអានេះតាមអានេះតាមមេត្រាណាមិនមែនមេត្រាទេតាកន្លះមេត្រាទេតាមប៉ារ៉ាយើងវិភាគចង់បាយផ្សាយហើយចុះមកកំភ្លុងទៀតនេះ shall not require the elimination of any preference in respect of import duty that do not exceed level provided អញ្ចឹងទៅស្អីទៀតestablish maintain authorize formally in effect ស្អីគេ in effect ណាមិនអញញ៉ៃណាស់ខ្ញុំប្រាប់ហើយខ្ញុំបរៀនខ្ញុំថាដល់ពួកយើងខ្ញុំបរៀនដល់សិស្សខ្ញុំកន់ហើយសិស្សគាត់ very thankful គាត់ថាអូអស់លេងច្រើនកន់ដល់ពេលស្រាប់តែឥឡូវគេចូលធ្វើការតាមក្រសួងនៃកម្មក្រសួងការវិទ្យាគេធ្វើ intern ណាសួរខ្ញុំឈើអាហ្នឹងវានេះថាម៉េចហើយទៅបរៀនឲ្យមុនថាឈើអាពេលរៀនមកឈើយល់តែដល់ពេលចេញមកអានយល់ហើយចុះបើសិនយកអត់បរៀនដូចដឹកគោមើលរឿងបដ ாய் បាទអត់មានមើលយល់ទេបាទមើលយល់ទេអញញ៉ៃណានិយាយគាត់ខ្ញុំប្រាប់កន្លែងគាត់ពាក្យ light product មួយឆ្លុះគ្នាពីហ្នឹងយើងឆ្លុះគ្នាមួយខ្ញុំឆ្លុះគ្នាមួយគ្នាយើង iPhone ឆ្លុះគ្នាមួយគ្នាមានអ្នកចង់បង្កើត reform ទៅ WTO ទៀតមិនធម្មតាអញ្ចឹងទម្រាំទៅពាក្យផ្សេងទៀត
តែសំមួយទៀត
មកសួរអស់មក
agreement ហ្នឹងគឺសំដៅទៅលើ original product ឬក៏បូកទាំង second hand ដែរ
second hand រឿងផ្សេងណា second hand រឿងផ្សេងអញ្ចឹងបានខ្ញុំសួរថាតើ light product ហ្នឹងអាម៉េចវាតាំងពីគុណភាពតាំងពីរូបភាពតាំងពីបរិមាណតាំងពីសេរីឆ្នាំអូខេតាំងពីdate of use អូខេ age of use បើមិនអាចាស់វានឹងថោកជាងហើយដូចឡានអញ្ចឹងជាមើលឡានថ្មីឡានចាស់ស្រុកខ្មែរគឺឡានថ្មីទៅឥឡូវគេយកពន្ធឡានថ្មីទៅជាងឡានចាស់ដើម្បី recommend ឲ្យស្រុកខ្មែរនឹង encourage ឲ្យស្រុកខ្មែរនឹងប្រើប្រាស់ឡានថ្មីឡានចាស់ប៉ុណ្ណាគាត់ណាឡានថ្មីអាចាស់គឺយើងខុសគ្នាបាទយើងឲ្យតម្លៃផ្សេងទៀតយើងដាក់ពន្ធខុសគ្នាបាទ second hand car អញ្ចឹងបើ second hand car អានោះនាំចូល second hand car ដូចគ្នាដែរអាហ្នឹង light product ហើយវាតែមួយហើយពីព្រោះនាំចូល Camry បន្លែង Camry hybrid 011ពីថៃពណ៌សហើយ second hand នាំចូល Camry hybrid 011 hybrid មកពីជប៉ុនពណ៌សដូចគ្នាអាហ្នឹងវាអត់ប្រមាថទេស្រួលទេបាទស្រួលទេគឺ second hand ដូចគ្នាយើងកុំខ្វល់ third hand fourth hand គឺឲ្យតែមកបន្ទឹកគេហៅថា second hand ហើយភាសាអង់គ្លេសដែរមានគេហៅថា this is third hand product ដែរមានគឺ second hand ទោះបី4តង់អានោះ second hand ដែរយើងយកមកបើពន្ធ 220% គឺអានោះក៏220នេះក៏220អាហ្នឹងគឺគោរពមាត្រា1នៃWTO agreement ហើយមិនបាច់ចាំខ្វល់អីណាអូខេអញ្ចឹងហើយយើងខ្ញុំធានាថាមួយ semester នេះគឺ enjoy តិចទៀតយើងរៀនដល់កន្លែងវៀតណាមខ្មែរឆ្លោះគ្នារឿងស្អីគេ K-pop កូរ៉េមិនបានគេមលោបគេយកបទយើងយកបទគេយើងយកបទថៃមិនបានគេមិនប្តឹងយើងបាន មិនបានពេលខ្លះយើងអត់អាចនាំចេញផលិតផលឲ្យបានពេលខ្លះមិនបានអាកម្មម៉ាស់អីរបស់រុស្ស៊ីចង់នាំចូលមកកម្ពុជាប៉ុន្តែកម្ពុជាបិទឲ្យនាំចូលហើយរុស្ស៊ីប្តឹងអត់បានវាមានរឿងច្រើនមេត្រាគេបានចែកឲ្យហើយប៉ុន្តែយើងមិនដែលដឹងក៏ខ្ញុំប្រាប់ចុះ service agreement service commitment របស់កម្ពុជាបានចែកយ៉ាងច្បាស់ថា tourism sector សម្រាប់តាក់ទងទៅនឹង hotel គឺនៅក្នុង mode 2 commercial operation mode 3 វាមាន mode 1 mode 2 mode 3 mode 4នៅក្នុង mode 3គឺ commercial operation ហ្នឹងគឺ foreign company can have commercial operation as the hotel in Cambodia only from 3 star up ជនបរទេសអាចផ្ដល់ជាសេវាកម្មផ្នែកសន្តាគារតាមរយៈការបើកសន្តាគាររកស៊ីក្នុងស្រុកខ្មែរតែផ្កាយ3ឡើងទៅទីបានឲ្យបើកទៅមើលកំពង់សោមផ្កាយហ្មងអាខ្លះអត់មានផ្កាយទេរកតែអំពូលភ្លឺមួយហ្មងខ្ញុំថាដល់ផ្កាយគឺបើកទៅទស្សនៈតូចមួយទៅបោះចិនសួរថាពីណាគេអនុវត្តបានគេច្បាប់នោះណាហើយខ្ញុំថាដល់កុំបន្ទោសគាត់ហើយខ្ញុំទើបតែនិយាយព្រឹកមិញជាមួយខាងសិង្ហបុរីហ្នឹងខ្ញុំ share បានច្រើនណាខ្ញុំ training join training ប៉ុន្តែ share បានច្រើនដោយសារយើងវាបរៀនផ្នែកហ្នឹងវាកង់ហើយអញ្ចឹងហើយអ្នកផ្សេងគាត់ពិបាកយល់តែពេលខ្ញុំ share ខ្ញុំថាដល់មន្ត្រីអនុវត្តច្បាប់ខ្ញុំថាដល់អ្នករៀនធម្មតាសូម្បីមន្ត្រីអនុវត្តច្បាប់នៅកំពង់សោមអីហ្នឹងនៅក្រសួងហ្នឹងក៏មិនដឹងថាហ្នឹងជាស្អីដែរយើងមាន commitment យើងរួចអស់ហើយស្រាប់តែយើងថាឲ្យបើកបានបើកតបផ្កាយ3ឡើងទៅយើងទៅមើលនៅកំពង់សោមទីក្រុងឯណាសន្តាគារក្រុងខ្លាំងខ្វាងជើឯណាបាទហើយមើលទៅ3បន្ទប់បាទហើយផ្កាយ3 star ដែរបាទ3 room នេះមិន3 star ណាបាទស្អីគេទៀត restaurant តតែ200ម៉ែត្រការ៉េ4ជ្រុង200ម៉ែត្រការ៉េមិន4ជ្រុង200ម៉ែត្រការ៉េបានអាចបើកបានអាខ្លះគ្រាន់តែនៅចិនគ្រាន់តែផ្ទះល្វីមួយបើកហាងអីណាចៅទិញឯណាហើយតើមានតែចិនគ្នាវាប៉ុន្តែសួរថាសុទ្ធតែរំលោភកិច្ចព្រមព្រៀងទាំងអស់ណាសុទ្ធតែរំលោភតើតែយើងបានសើរើច្បាប់ប្រទេសដល់ពេលធ្វើពួកហ្នឹងម្ដងហើយរសើឬផ្លាក់ឬអីតែអាខ្លះលក់តគួនក៏ចិនកោសជប់ក៏ចិននៅកំពង់សោមខ្ញុំទៅមើលខ្ញុំមួយក្រុមការងារយើងចុះទៅឲ្យសុទ្ធតែយើងធ្វើមិនឡើយបាទចំណេះដឹងផ្នែក international trade law យើងនៅកម្រិតស្ងឯហ្នឹងហើយគ្រាន់តែគ្នាយើងអ្នកបញ្ញវន្តទេជា for នៅឲ្យបើគ្រាន់តែឲ្យអានមេត្រាមួយកន្លះមេត្រាសុំវិលមុខហ្នឹងនិយាយត្រង់ហ្មងរំឲ្យទៅដល់ណានៃទៀតគឺហើយខ្ញុំអត់បន្ទោសទេពីព្រោះអាហ្នឹងវាមកអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំបើខ្ញុំនៅសេរីនោះខ្ញុំមិនបានអ្នកណាមកអង្គុយកង់អង្គុយត្អូញអញ្ចឹងផងរៀនមិនដឹងថាបេថូនឹងបែរមុខទៅណាទេបាទចប់ឆ្នាំទី4ក៏ដឹងអញ្ចឹងបាទខ្ញុំអត់ចង់វិបដិសេរីអត់ចង់ឲ្យកូនសិស្សខ្ញុំប្រឡងសុនីយកម្មប្រឡងអីទៅបរាជ័យទៅជាប់ចេះរៀនចប់ត្រូវតែចេះអានឹងចេះហើយប្រឡងអឺរ៉ាគេសួរមកយល់សួរមកចេះអត់បើកមើលសភើម្ដងទៀតទៅមកមើល slide ដែលខ្ញុំឲ្យទៅយល់ហើយខ្ញុំចង់ឲ្យអញ្ចឹងកុំឲ្យស្ដាយក្រោយពីព្រោះមួយឆ្នាំទៅមួយឆ្នាំបើយើងអូបឡាយយើងអត់បានអីទេហើយខ្ញុំប្រាប់គ្មានអីស្ដាប់គ្មានអីឆាប់យល់លឿនជាងមានគេកាយទេបើសិនជាយើងអត់មានគេកាយយើងទៅអានដល់ខ្ញុំឲ្យអានអត់យល់ទេខ្ញុំសុខចិត្តកាយអង្គុយជំរិញមិនដែរធ្វើម៉េចឲ្យយល់ហើយប្រឡងជាប់តែហ្នឹងខ្ញុំមិនចង់បានអីអូខេតែមានអីត្រូវសួរយើងគិតបិទត្រឹមហ្នឹងមេត្រាមួយប៉ារ៉ាវ៉ាន់ហ្នឹងក៏វាជារឿងចាំបាច់ពីព្រោះទោះបីជាវាតិចមិនប៉ុន្តែគេឆ្លុះគ្នាច្រើនកន្លែងហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំចង់បង្ហាញពលៈជាក់កន្លែងហ្នឹងហើយក៏បំបត្តិការយល់ច្រឡំដោយឧត្តមដែរមិនឧត្តមដែលយល់អញ្ចឹងអ្នកផ្សេងក៏យល់ថា most favored nation គឺ favor nation ហើយនៅតែ favor វៀតណាមមួយហើយមិនមែនទេ most favored nation គឺមិនអោយគេ favor វៀតណាមមិនអោយនេះទេគឺបើ favor វៀតណាមត្រូវតែ favor ទាំងអស់អូខេលើអីគេ light product okay got a point
Yes, next.
អូខេឥឡូវខ្ញុំសួរខ្ញុំសួរយេវិញដើម្បីតែខ្ញុំគួរជំរុញអញ្ចឹង session ក្រោយអត់ប៉ុណ្ណឹងទទួលយកបានអត់ព័ត៌មានចេះឥឡូវចាប់បានអីថ្មីអត់សួរអញ្ចឹងវិញខ្ញុំចង់ evaluation អញ្ចឹងមកដើម្បីស្រួលធ្វើអីបន្តទៀត
answer
Yes, like.
អូខេឲ្យច្បាស់ហើយហើយ semester 2លោកគ្រូអិនសៀតឲ្យខ្ញុំតាណាទេខ្ញុំប្រាប់ពេលខ្ញុំទៅរៀនអង់គ្លេសហ្នឹងគាត់ដាក់ឈ្មោះខ្ញុំមិនដាក់ lip ទេណាគាត់ដាក់ asking permission គាត់ថាវាទៅខ្ញុំថាលោកគ្រូខ្ញុំឈប់បរៀនហើយគាត់ថាអត់ទេត្រូវតែយកមកវិញពីព្រោះយើងបង្កើត international trade law នេះត្រូវតែយកធនឲ្យមកវិញ ចឹងហើយបានខ្ញុំមកដល់ភ្លាមដាក់ខ្ញុំចូលផ្លុកចឹងជំរុញជាមួយសិស្សហ្នឹងទៅប៉ុន្តែគាត់ថាសប្បាយដែលគាត់ចប់ហើយឥឡូវបានអ្នកខ្លះចប់រាចឹងទៅរៀនមួយគ្នាទៀតអ្នកខ្លះបានជាប់ក្រសួងពាណិជ្ជកម្មឃើញកូនសិស្សឯងខ្ញុំសប្បាយចិត្តហីថាកុំហៅខ្ញុំគ្រូអីហៅធម្មតាជាសាខារីទៅគាត់ចេះភ័យគាត់ធ្លាប់អាការយើងបរៀនគាត់យើងសម្លុតគាត់អីចឹងដល់ពេលទៅធ្វើការមួយគ្នាទៅធម្មតាអ្វីដែលខ្ញុំចង់ឃើញគឺពួកយើងមកអង្គុយចិត្តខ្ញុំបាទក្មេងៗដូចគ្នាទៅខ្ញុំបងយើង 3-4 ឆ្នាំទេអត់មិនជាលើកគ្នាណាទេអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំចង់បានប៉ុណ្ណឹងហើយលោកគ្រូអនសៀតឲ្យខ្ញុំតាណាទេបាទថា interview រឿង WTO រឿងអីសម្ដេចគាត់តាណាតាណីដឹងតែមានមុខខ្ញុំហើយទៅតែឡើយកូវីដគាត់ interview នៅ BTV នៅអីហ្នឹងគឺដឹងតែដាក់ខ្ញុំទៅហើយគាត់ដឹងថាខ្ញុំវាច្បាស់កន្លែងហ្នឹងយើងមិនចេះណាប៉ុន្តែយើងធ្វើការដល់ហ្នឹងហើយយើងអត់ធ្មត់ប្រឹងរៀនសម credit សមអីហ្នឹងទៅ sale គ្រប់រឿងណាដែលត្រូវចាំទុកក្នុងគួរក្បាលទុកមក port នេះ សេរីខិតមក port នេះនយោបាយ port នេះអញ្ចឹងពេលខ្ញុំបរៀនពួកយើងខ្ញុំមិនបាច់ចាំមើលស្អីមានតែ slide មួយមិនបាច់ slide ក៏ខ្ញុំអាចបញ្យល់បានហើយវាមាននៅក្នុងនឹងអស់ហើយអញ្ចឹងចង់បានអញ្ចឹងបានជំរិញកនសួរយល់អត់មុនមិនចេះតែបរៀនទៅអូខេ go to the next slide អត់ទេ that is not what I want alright okay so can I stop now I need to have dinner as well okay very tired okay exhausted
ចា
okay come on
អាទិត្យក្រោយមាន make up ខ្លះអត់
អត់ទាន់ដឹងដែរអាទិត្យក្រោយមានអីឈប់អត់
ឈើថ្ងៃ29
អីទៀត
ឈប់ទៅឈើ
ឈប់រឿងអី29អូក្រងរេកហ្នឹងមែនទេ
បាទ King birthday ឈើ
អូ King birthday ចាំមើលបើសិនជា make up បាន make up ពេលព្រឹកបើថាយើងជួញអត់អីទេខ្ញុំអាចចូលរួមបានខ្ញុំសប្បាយនឹងបរៀនទេពីព្រោះឲ្យតែថាខ្ញុំអត់ចង់ឲ្យយឺតយើងយឺត 2-3 អាទិត្យទេណានិយាយត្រង់យើងយឺតជាងគេ 2-3 អាទិត្យហើយ
make up
បាទមិនយើង make up ពេលព្រឹកដូចថ្ងៃមុនទៅចូលរួមដូចថ្ងៃមុនទៅហើយមិនបាច់ចាំក្រោកអីគេទៅលើពូកស្ដាប់តែខ្ញុំនេះកាន់តែសភើមួយទៅបានហើយមានអីបាទខ្ញុំអត់មាន recommendation ហ៎
Harry X
Okay. Enjoy. Have a nice weekend tomorrow, and then the day after tomorrow, and see you next week. Maybe in a make-up class in the morning of Saturday or Friday. Okay. Have a nice day, guys.
Bye,
Goodbye.
teacher.
Bye,
Bye,
teacher.
teacher.
Bye, lecturer.